Hello, 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 and welcome to the Bada Show. I am one of your lovable, huggable hosts, Dave, here in the top square, and down below is my good pal, buddy in crime, Chris. Chris, how the heck are you? That was a struggle to
Hey,
get that
hey,
out of my
how are
mouth
you?
there. Woo.
Eh, it's a lot of LOLs
Yeah,
in there, so
hello. Yeah.
those don't always those dribble out
Mm,
sometimes. Are we live or are we Memorex?
we are definitely Memorex, baby.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, we're like one of them cassettes that's kind of see through but has the triangles and the circles and the really rad 90s design on it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
like the background to Saved by the Bell.
there you go. That's us all the way.
Max L. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, right. So, you know, I've had a rough week, man, and I'm sorry for
Yes, you
jumping
have.
on this. I was like, how are you? You brought up tape, and then I segue into moi. But
Hmm.
with my rough week, I'm gonna make an admission here on the Bada Bin Show. I'm making major life decisions.
Okay.
I have hinted on these very airwaves in past episodes. I'm looking to change the shipping on my mail order books, and it's going to be official. I'm going monthly.
Hey, welcome to it.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's going to be, 28, 29 days of me twiddling my thumbs, just waiting and salivating to get them books. But I figure with the price of everything nowadays, I should
Yeah.
probably simmer down. Also, with the reading
Quality.
speed quality. My reading speed is not always the fastest. So maybe I should, put a few bucks back into my pocket and get
Sure.
them one time per month. So yeah, that's my big news for the day.
How about that? That's
Yeah,
unexpected.
sorry, exciting stuff, right? Wow,
Hey, for folks like us, it is exciting.
it is major, right? Life changing life decisions that can really impact your fandom.
Yeah.
Mm.
No, I mean, I've been monthly for many years now, and for a good portion of that, Lord, there were times where I'd have like three or four boxes stacked up, not even
Wow.
open. So it's like, yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, are we still in Age of X-Men? What the hell is this?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Jeez,
it's
is it still acts of vengeance? What's going on here? It's been so long since I opened.
Convergence. Yeah.
What? When's the last time I opened these damn boxes? Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. It's that.
Chris, I think I'm also a sucker for like just receiving stuff. Not to the
Sure.
point of like hoarders where I gotta have packages delivered every day,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we all get crap mail, junk
Hmm.
mail, whatever. So when you get something that's legitimately cool, it
Oh
gets
yeah.
your
It's a day,
juices
isn't it?
flowing. Yeah, right.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
I remember when I was a kid and I had the subscription in Nintendo Power,
Oh yeah.
and like the week that was supposed to come out, like every day you rush home from school and you check the mailbox, like nope, not today,
Mm.
nope, not today. And then
Mm-hmm.
if it's like during the summer,
Mm-hmm.
like you're just like waiting for it to come all damn day.
You know, that's a great point because I think that's also screwing me up.
Hmm.
As Tom Petty once sang, the waiting is the hardest part. Now,
Mm-hmm.
this could be applicable to my current decision to go monthly, but it's also something that affects my psyche now because if I see my package is out for delivery at 9 a.m. or something, all
Yeah.
I'm doing for the remainder of my day until I receive that box is thinking about getting that box. And that's weird. You know what I mean? Something ain't right
I,
there.
I envy that though. Like
Really?
I mean on the day where it's supposed to ship or it's
Mm-hmm.
supposed to arrive anyway, it's like, oh, I gotta open the box. I gotta put everything in the spreadsheet. It's like work.
Oh, yeah.
Like if I was more excited, I mean, my pull is still ridiculously overinflated.
Okay.
Um, and we talked about like with you keeping Secret Six,
Mm,
because it's like it's easy just to get it now, than trying to track it down later, even if it's cheaper later, because it will be.
right.
But it's like you get crappy variant. You're gonna get, it's been sitting. It's probably not bagged. It's thrown in a cheapo bin. It's who knows the condition.
Yeah.
And it's like I got all these damn X-Men books that suck.
Yeah.
The entire X-Men line is garbage right now, and it's only getting bigger. But it's like I can keep getting them now for my discount and the cover that I want, and they're bagged. And if I get interested in this stuff again later on, because I probably will, because that's my cycle.
Right.
It's like, is it easier just to be like, yeah, I got all of them, or do I have to go to the boxes and like, it's Peach Momoko drawing a Star Wars character on the cover of Uncanny X-Men.
Right.
So it's easier just to grin and bear it now. But like when I'm getting the boxes and it's like crap, because it's also one of those things where you're looking in a mirror, and because I'll separate things out, like what I'm gonna read, what I'm just gonna box, which is ridiculous. If my 12-year-old self could see me, he'd be like, "What's wrong with you?" But it's like when the pile of the just to file is so much bigger than the ones you want to read.
Yeah.
That's when you have to look at yourself and be like, "What's wrong with me?" Because and it's all this really terrible. It's all Marvel. I don't think there's a single Marvel book right now that I'm excited for. And like half the DC books I get, I'm excited for. So there's still some that I like. I jumped in on what is this? Yesterday's Tomorrow, whatever the hell the Wade thing.
We Are Yesterday, I believe.
That's the thing.
Yes.
I have no interest in that crap, but I bought all of it. So that goes in the pile where it's like not gonna read it. It's just piling up.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And then you start like, it's like, okay, that's $5. That's $5. That's $5. That's $5.
Yeah.
Even though we're not paying $5 for it, it's still like, golly,
I know.
It's like that's $70 that I could have watched go down a toilet.
Well, you still could.
I still could.
I don't think they're, they don't lend themselves to flushability. But
No.
alas, if you were that driven to do so, you could make it happen.
Could.
It's
shred
funny.
Mulch them.
What's that?
I could shred them. I can mulch them.
Listen, dude. Now you're getting just weird. Okay, it's like
And that's more work.
plotting a murder here. You know what I mean?
It's more work.
Yeah, most def.
Get the bleach. Yeah.
Exactly. I line the walls in plastic. I rename myself Dexter. I'm ready to destroy these books. But
I only killed the ones that killed other people.
Well, yeah, you're only doing it to bad books, right? So there you go. You guys have something in common there. But I was going to say, you use Sinister Six as an example because I had talked about that. I believe it was last episode. And it is kind of funny because as bad as it is now, right?
Sure.
I am willing to stick around for that final issue to complete it, and I am not traditionally someone who could call themselves a completionist like you can, for example, because you're just batshit crazy, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, right. So, but still, one of the great things, I guess, about spending that money on it is once I get it, I never have to think about that series again. Ever.
That's true.
Never. It's in a box somewhere for the rest of my natural life. That's it. Otherwise, I'm going to be on hunts, and I'm like, well, if I see Sinister Six, number 6 out there somewhere, I might as well pick it up. Nah, I don't want to do that. I just want the brain clean. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's all I want. So it's worth it.
Yeah, I've had similar situations many times where it's like it gives you a weird sense of peace just to have it complete.
Right.
It could be garbage because it usually is.
Right.
But it's over. it's complete. It's full. It's whole.
Yeah.
And you don't gotta. It's never just gonna be on an app on your phone. Like, oh, gotta remember to look for this one.
Yeah.
Every time I'm out.
Yeah. Exactly.
We both made that mistake before, I'm sure, where it's like, oh, why didn't I just do it?
Yeah, exactly. I'm thinking, how many scenarios or conversations do people say, man, if only I had a time machine? If
Mm-hmm.
only. So I think a service that the Bada Bin Show can provide to collectors and fans everywhere across the globe is we create a time machine that is only capable of
Mm-hmm.
traveling back to the point in the timeline before
Mm-hmm.
you sub to a really crappy title. That's it. That's
We
the
can
only
call
place it
it
can go.
we can
You
call
know?
it the comics treadmill.
Oh well. Let's not tread on that now, shall we? Plus, the original Cosmic Treadmill was as good as it gets. But yeah, man, you can't take that time machine to, I don't
No.
know, go back and kill a dictator or invent
Mm-mm.
Google. You can only go back and stop yourself from
You smack your
subscribing.
hand.
Yes, right. You take the phone
Secret
out.
six, no.
Nope, not happening. And then you just pop back in and back to 2025 you go. You know what I
Away
mean?
you go.
Or maybe it happened in 2025 and back to March or back
Possibly.
to June.
Yeah.
And there we go. But that's the only capabilities of the Bada Bin comic treadmill. Are we sticking with
Comics
that?
treadmill.
Comics treadmill, right? Comics. Ugh. I can't speak today. What an illustrious start for David. Whoops.
Mm-hmm.
So since I did, speaking of treading, jumped all over your
Sure.
introduction today, was there anything you wanted to share with the rest of the class before I rudely butted in?
Not really. No, I mean, time's flying way too fast. I
Yeah.
think it's been kind of the trend here. This new work schedule is bizarre, dude.
Mm.
It's Monday through Wednesday, so it's like I blink. It's like Monday through Wednesday is like one very long day, and then it's over. It's very very weird. So
Well,
I'm loving it. It's great,
yeah.
but it's just weird.
Yeah, I was going to say the rest of the working class would envy you to
Oh,
know
I'm
that
sure. I'm
the
sure.
toiling away for the man goes that quickly, for
Hmm.
you, while the rest of us are in pain and agony every day of our
Yeah.
lives. So,
Yeah, I don't. It's sounds stupid, but I don't know how I did 5 days a week.
okay.
I, 10 years ago I was doing 6 days a week. I don't know
Uh-huh.
how I did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny you should say that because I write my own schedule.
Hmm.
And so, with that, because I do work in retail, the concept of a weekend is thrown out the window, right? But
Sure.
there are times I will schedule myself 3 days on before I take a day off. 4 days, and it's nice,
Sure.
For some
Sure.
reason, we get that mental those walls built up that a work week must be 5 days.
Yeah,
You
dude,
know?
that was
Yeah.
like Sunday nights, man. And I mean, I was only working half days,
Uh huh.
because I'm a part timer, but it was like Sunday night would still be like, oh, God, there's 5 days ahead.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's not like it's laborious work. It's just like the fact that you're forced to be somewhere doing something.
Mm-hmm. For beans.
Not that I have anything better to do.
Well,
It's a.
I don't
I
know
mean,
about
I,
that. That's
I mean, I'm
arguable,
sure
right?
there's always something better.
I
But
think anything you could be doing, all right, is better. And this is coming from a blue collar worker. Anything better than work. So, you know, work is just a means to, necessitate forming societal bonds, I suppose.
sure,
Bringing home the bacon. I don't know, just being a normal average Joe. But in reality, what I'm doing right now is far more enjoyable than
it's
going to
true.
work. Or if I was just laying in bed, rolling around in my own filth, I dig that. Buttloads more. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? That's
It's
more my
true.
jam. So, yeah. But I do have, and I was going to bring this up later, but you know what?
Hmm.
What the hey? I'm in a good mood now. You got me all riled up here.
I like it.
And it is more major news for your humble co-host David. And Chris, you are aware of this. I've alerted you.
We about to get on a train?
We are. I don't have a screen ready, so the image is fairly plain Jane here, even though I should probably perhaps prepare this. But I do, in fact, have the song
Do it.
ready to go because there is a new book, Getting on the Train.
Listen up. Here we go.
It's the next book that drops still, and I'll meet you at the station. It's either inconsistent or so boring that it's painful. Oh no no. Oh no no no. Oh no no no. Dear God, why is this book so slow?
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I have stuck around for far too long to a book known. Was that dance terrible, by the way? Should I be
Oh,
embarrassed by that?
it was great. It was
Oh,
great.
yeah.
We
Yeah.
didn't get to see the bottom half of you doing the kicks, but it was
Oh,
all, it was
yeah.
all good.
Well, I did study with the Rockettes for a semester, so yeah.
Yeah.
But World's Finest, man, I've done my best to stick around, to be a loyal.
Oh, you were loyal. Yeah.
Yeah. Even when I can freely admit the book sucks, it's not great, but I've always made excuses for it. Initially, hey man, Dan Mora,
Yeah.
the patron saint of all art, is on interiors gone.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a ongoing title in the modern comics, world. That's
Landscape. Yeah.
landscape. Unbelievable. We're here at issue 40, but issue
Imagine
40 just tipped me over, man. Like, I can't do this anymore. And there's another arguing, point I made was with a discount, I only pay $2.59 for this per month. You know, so it's not like it's costing me an arm and a leg.
No,
but now
those are 2003 prices.
dude, for real.
No.
But I mean, the way I put it to you via text was this isn't even suitable to give away free with a box of cereal. This book sucks so bad. So I've already cut it. The pre-orders, I've already been notified to select all my pre-orders. Gone. I took it right off. So this is it, baby. World's Finest. Adios.
I never thought we'd see the
muchacho.
day.
I know,
I never thought we'd see the day.
but this one was just based on quality. Mark Wade, sorry, bud. Garbage. See you
Saying
later,
it.
alligator.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, and
No
I'm
more.
trying to think back. How, like we talked about with Wolverine. It's like, let's look at Wolverine's solo series here. What are the iconic stories? What are the stories that like stand the test of time? That if someone said, "Hey, I want to read a Wolverine story," I don't know if there's one you could point to from his ongoings and be like, "Oh, this is Wolverine. Read this," because they're all just kind of eh. It's a
Okay.
book that exists to exist. And thinking about the Superman Batman books or Batman Superman books or whatever the hell you want to call them, the world's finest, I really can't think of very many. Maybe the first arc of the Loeb McGinnis,
Okay.
maybe the second arc where they introduced the new Supergirl. But other than that, I'm trying to think, has there been any seminal story that you could say, hey, this is the essence of these characters, or it's just a good story? I'm sure there's some silly stuff from pre-crisis, but I don't know that there's something that you could point to. Or maybe Chris, you could. I know he's much more into the Bronze Age than you or I are, or much more knowledgeable about it. But I'm struggling to think of something I would point to. I sent you a message yesterday that I went to a record store, and they have a clearance bin there, trades, and usually it's usually half of half. So $20 book, it goes on the rack for $10. If it sits there for a while, they put $5 on it, it goes into the clearance bin.
Right.
This time they were 99 cents. So they had boxes and boxes and shelves of 99-cent trades. And a few of them were Superman Batman from like the mid 2000s. 99 cents. And I left them there. It's like, I don't need this on my shelf.
Yeah.
What is this going to do for me? So it's
Well-
like I can't think of any real Superman Batman story that you could say this is must reading. And the current run with Wade, I feel like he had that one story that wanted to get to the Lazarus world thing. And then after that, it's like, well, we need a Superman Batman book. And Wade seems to enjoy writing it. So just let him do whatever the hell he's going to do. Oh, you want to see the story of how Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman met again?
Yeah.
Sure, give him 5 issues of that crap. Don't know.
Well, it's interesting you use Wolverine as an example too. Is like, all right, so you're asking what is the definitive Wolverine story, Superman, Batman, or vice versa story that would mean or
Like a
cause
potential
this
new
series to
reader.
exist.
Potential new reader be like, hey, I'm interested in these characters. What can you point me to? Be like, don't know.
Yeah. Well, if you were just saying like the current run, okay, but you're actually asking throughout the entire publication history.
Yeah, these are books
Yeah.
that just exist to exist.
Well, they're popular characters, right? So
That's it.
That's it. They're out there to make a buck.
That's it. Yeah,
You
but
know?
they're not. The stories are just not there to
Those
support
books, they don't need to work 5 days
They're
a
weak.
week.
it. They don't.
You know,
They don't.
that's the thing.
They could phone it in.
Yeah, for sure. When you brought up Wolverine, I'm trying to think of. Okay, so first off, you're trying to separate an X-Men story.
Yeah, not
'cause
X-Men
you don't
stories,
want that. You
not the
want Solo.
miniseries. Yeah, not the miniseries, because
Okay.
that was a story with a beginning and an end.
Mhm.
I'm talking about ongoings. Because
Yeah.
even like the first few years of the Wolverine ongoing wasn't good.
Right. I mean, I think at that point, what you're really, or a lot of people will direct themselves to is feelings of nostalgia.
Probably.
What era of that book, Wolverine in particular, are they
Did you discover it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
or most connected to? You know what I mean? And that's where you're at. So,
Yeah, because you got the Frank Miller Claremont mini,
Mm-hmm.
which people, which that's something you can point people to. You got the Barry Windsor Smith Weapon X, but that was in Marvel Comics Presents.
right.
Yeah, the ongoing though, it's like, I mean, a lot of he had those Hammer years, and that was not great. You had Claremont's Return, that was not great.
Yeah.
It's just it's a book that exists to exist, just like these World's Finest type books.
Well, I really wish Batman Superman World's Finest number 40 didn't exist.
It's a blessing though. It tipped the domino for you.
It was the catalyst for cancellation, and it's too bad because the skeleton of the story seems like it could have a little bit of potential. It's a one-off, obviously a gap issue.
Sure.
Getting
in
us from
betweener.
one Wade event to the next Wade event, because there always seems now to be a Wade event. But it could have been a great team up story with Perry White and Jim Gordon, running parallel to Supes and Batman. And
Sure.
it was just written so poorly. I could see it maybe appealing to a preschooler because Batman does
Because they can't
have
read.
well, yeah, they can use their crayons on it. It's a giant bat robot, but that's what I mean.
Did they give nom noms to gerbils?
No nom noms to the gerbils. Although I feel like now that I have nixed this book, that I was ultimately a hamster in a wheel trying to catch something by sticking around for World's Finest. So very sad.
Yeah, there isn't always a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Yeah.
It's
true.
kind of just. And damn it, you tried.
I know.
You tried. You've been on the bubble with this. Well, not even on the bubble, because you wanted to keep it, because you wanted to reward it for
Exactly.
being what it was, and you stuck with it through. Like I said earlier, like the 15th retelling of how Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman met. Ooh, we need that again. We definitely do.
Yeah.
Until the next continuity reboot.
Dude, it's just sad. I'm sad. I'm sad holding this.
Sure.
And yeah, it's not because I have any real love for the contents. It's just I just tried to hang on.
You were in love with the idea of it.
There we go. That's fair.
Yeah.
That is fair because it's something that, harkens back to an era I care about,
Sure.
where
And
numbering matters. And
yeah.
you had a creative, well, Wade's been on this since the jump, but a creative team that stuck, through the entire shebang here. And
Well, yeah, I mean,
bummer.
we have the architect,
Mm.
Wade is the one who's guiding the ship. He's guiding most of the ship at DC, it seems.
Yeah.
So you'd figure that would be a mover and shaker of a book, and it's an afterthought.
Mm.
It's nebulously in or out of continuity. We don't know which continuity. We don't know what versions of these characters we're getting. It's just
Right.
a book. It's a book that happens to us once a month.
Exactly.
And that's about it.
Yeah.
But
And-
I do like that you mentioned that there was a skeleton of a good idea there.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you have anything more to say about that, about
No,
WF.
but you always, anytime we talk, I always like bounce things around, so I might think of a point I forgot to say initially.
Sure.
And I guess just to kind of, drive it home is, and maybe a lot of people feel the same way I do, is when you get a book and it immediately goes to the bottom of that read pile, you got to start reprioritizing if you need to sub
yeah.
to that book. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that was another thing with World's Finest, where it was just like, I'm so eager to read this and that, and it's like, well,
Sure.
I need a break to dumb myself down, or where I don't have to think, or I don't care. It's like an
Yeah.
apathy read, and that was becoming
Sure.
World's Finest right to the end of my other, books. So yeah, but anyway, as you were to say,
Well, it was almost contagious because I mean, there's a book that I have on my pile that I never read, but I buy it to support it because it's Spawn. It's $2.99, cardstock cover every month, no extra add on for that privilege, and it's up to issue like. It's nearing 400, like we talked about before. Image is like the old school comic company now.
yeah,
So I buy it every month. I haven't read Spawn in about 100 issues. But I still buy it every single month because it's only $3. And he doesn't upcharge for those card stocks like DC and Marvel do. I don't even know if Marvel does them. DC does. So I support it for that. So you keeping with World's Finest was contagious. Like I went... We had we have dollar sales here a couple times a year at one of the shops, where everything on the 6-month wall is $1. It's like, oh, I'll catch up on World's Finest. I'll be up to date and I'll be able to continue along. And so I did. And then the first, and broken record here, the first solicit I saw was the first meeting of him and Wonder Woman. Them and Wonder Woman. It's like, no, no, we've read this 100 times before. We don't need this again. Who needs this? It's ridiculous. Like, I don't know how how Wade could put that as a pitch. Hey, editor, whatever your name is, in between your shifts at Starbucks, can you look at this pitch? And it's like, oh, they're going to meet Wonder Woman for the first time again. Do it.
I almost
We
think
don't need that.
meeting Wonder Woman every other issue would be better than some of the material I've been subjected to.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's just like, I don't know, man. It feels like Wade's. Well, listen, I'm sorry, I almost choked on my own saliva. That was Wade attacking me.
He was.
Telepathically. Hello.
Psionically.
Yes. We talk about him, it seems like, every episode now, because as you mentioned, he's driving the
He's
boat
everywhere.
at DC,
Yeah.
But the thing is what he's been doing isn't great.
No.
Now, we got this, it's like the Milgram line, right? We got this Wade line of what he's currently producing at DC.
Yeah.
Whether you love it, whether you hate it, whether you agree with us, where it's very mediocre, dude, it's like World's Finest is like the triple, quadruple, sloppy, not sloppy seconds now, but still just like the waste. Like whatever just fell off the desk.
Distilled Wade. Yeah.
There you go. It's just been diluted and cut until you just get garbage, man. So
Yeah.
waiting to be struck
That's too
down
bad.
now. It's gonna be like Darth Vader using the dark side to choke me. I got
Yeah, the force
that
choke.
was
Yeah.
dangerous. I felt it there. I'm gonna have to watch this back later to see my facial expression.
But you did mention that has a skeleton of a good story.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
And
yes.
I read something last week where I said the same thing to you. And that was Hush 2.
Oh no.
Oh, yeah.
Oh no 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 no.
Oh,
Please
yeah.
don't
No,
do it. Stop
it sucks.
Oh yeah.
I sent you the picture of like Damien bursting through a window with Bane. And it's like, Damien with Bane?
Ooh.
What is this crap?
Ooh. Yeah.
Which tells me at least that Loeb knows that this isn't immediately after Hush 1. Because Damien didn't come for like 4 more years. So he at least knows Damien exists.
Okay.
Which is good, I guess. Have we seen Harley Quinn yet? I don't remember. I'm sure we will.
I only read the
Oh, the first 2, huh?
Yeah, I believe that's what it was. So I don't
Yeah.
recall.
So I'm
trying
one
to
ahead
clean
of
it
you.
out of my brain. Remember, I'm trying to go into a hypnotist and everything to block it
So
out.
we'll see if when Harley shows up, if she's in her like pre-Flashpoint, Jester costume or the current look.
Yeah.
But it's there's a skeleton of a good story here, where like Tommy, Hush, of course it takes nothing into account insofar as character progression and growth and maturation or anything. But the question that's posed here, in another world, or had this immediately followed up the original Hush, or just shortly thereafter, it would have made some sense. Where it's like the whole thing with Batman saving the Joker's life. That was a plan. Because he wanted Jason to see that Batman saved the man's life who killed him. And that Batman didn't try to save Jason's life. He didn't go after the Joker. He didn't kill the Joker as an act of vengeance. And it's a decent idea. And the plan comes out here that Hush is wanting to kill all of Batman's sidekicks. So it's like, oh, I'll kill all the Robins. So it's like Tim, Damian, Dick, Jason. That he's going to take them all out. Could have been a really good story. It has a skeleton of a good story. It's just the execution is crap. It's like laughably bad. It's like something I want to talk a little bit about later, but it's like this is what all the people who made fun of us for liking comics back in the 90s, this is what they think comics are.
Right.
And that's why they made fun of us for it.
Yeah.
Because it's mindless.
Well.
And it's dumb. And it's not cogent. It's just something that happens to us. But at the very core of it, there's a nice idea there, which makes it all that much more worse. Because it's like, okay, they could have done something good here. And even warts and all with, to steal a current comic reviewer line, warts and all, had they handled the Jason bits better, and maybe acknowledged that he has grown as a character in the past 20 years, but just put some doubts in his head, because he's short fuse. Maybe show us Tommy working him instead of just him being the Jason from under the hood. It could have been a decent story, or at least a story that people wouldn't be like, oof. Don't know. It's too bad.
I wonder, with you saying this and all, if maybe, they were like, well, we can't make this too complicated or too in-depth. We really got to dumb this down because we're really only interested in the dollars. You know what I mean?
It's possible.
But that being an argument, you go, well, the moment you announce Hush 2, people are just going to come to it anyway. It doesn't matter what's inside of it, good or bad. So maybe you should try to put out something good.
It's like, they if you want to get someone into something, you don't feed them shit and tell them to enjoy the taste of it.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you want to get someone into professional wrestling, you're not going to show them Dino Bravo against Ronnie Garvin 30 minutes of walking around the ring. You're not going to do that.
Is that bad?
That's awful.
Oh,
That's
okay.
actually the match that's on loop in hell.
Okay.
If there is a hell, it's
That's
going to
what's
be
going
Rugged
on
Ronnie
there?
Garvin versus Dino Bravo
Yeah.
for eternity. And it's going to be really bad.
Okay.
You'd
I'll
show
take
them
your word
something
for it.
good. Yeah, don't look it up.
I won't.
But you'd show them something good. If you want to get someone into wrestling, you're going to show them something good. A really good match, a really good promo, a really good anything. If you have this opportunity to get people into Batman, I mean, who doesn't know Batman, right? So if you have this opportunity, don't give them Dino Bravo against Ronnie Garvin. Give them something good.
Right.
Make them want to come back. Make them interested. Instead, we're getting crap because they're not thinking about tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
They're not thinking about a week from now, a year from now, a decade from now. They're thinking about today. How much money can we fleece from these people? How many stupid ass covers can we put on these things?
Yeah.
They're not worried about their retail partners. They're not worried about anybody. They're hardly worried about Loeb and Lee. They just want to get this crap out there.
Well, I'm worried about you. That's who I'm worried about because you subject yourself to this stuff despite knowing how bad it's going to be. I almost think in an eager fashion, like you want to hurt yourself. You know what I mean?
It's self-flagellation.
Yeah, it's something, man. Like
it's the bat of nine tails. I'm whipping myself.
Dude, yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Like you're putting this thing to the top of the read pile. You just mentioned
It
you
is.
had boxes and boxes that never even get cracked open, but you're like, Hush 2 sucks so bad. I gotta read it.
Oh,
I got
it was the second book I read.
Yeah. What's going on here? Jeez.
Right after Action.
Allow me to make fun of you a little bit.
Do it.
Oh.
What a moron!
Hey, what are you doing?
My first two reads were for you.
For me, yeah,
I
so
read
I don't
Action.
have to.
I read Action and I read Batman.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you so much. Even though
But there is a skeleton of a decent idea there.
I'll buy it.
Which-
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it was a crappy thing all around, it's like, okay, well, this is just garbage. Great. But it's like, no, this could have been okay.
Yeah. But
You know, it could have been readable.
what
And it
could
might have
been?
led to people, sticking around.
Yeah. Getting interested in
It's
the
gonna
character.
it's gonna be interesting when the Fraction run and this is coming out concurrently. Because I wonder if people are gonna buy both. I wonder if people are gonna buy Hush and not the Fraction run, or if they're gonna buy Fraction and not Hush.
Well,
Don't know.
as far as
Or if they're gonna be morons like me.
you know which avenue I'm taking.
I know where you are.
Yeah. I will check out
And,
Fraction.
and you know which avenue I'm taking.
Well, you're definitely buying both. But you're only reading one. Which I don't know. That is painful.
No, I'll read them both.
Yeah, here's the thing. You will read them both.
Yeah.
But Hush 2, day one.
We'll be read first. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So there we are.
And
Wow.
I mean, you can read it while the coffee's brewing. It's quick, so
Yeah.
it's all right.
Right.
It's
Okay.
like you brew a pot of coffee and then have it with your comics. No, this is done before the coffee's done.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't do that anyway. Separation of church and state with food and comics. I don't play like that. You know what I mean?
No Cheetos?
No. Can't have any of that. So the most I'll ever indulge, I think, while reading, and I'm sure I've talked about this my fair amount here on the Bada Bin show, is like Mike and Ike's.
Candies, yeah.
Yeah, little candies, just a little num. That's it. But no, Cheetos, coffee. That's why it always drove me crazy. People with their social media posts. It's like, what are you doing? You're putting a coffee next to, or whatever you're eating next to a comic. Like, what are you trying to
In
prove to
fairness,
me here?
though,
What?
they probably don't drink the coffee and they probably don't read the comic.
Yeah, right down the sink
So there
that
you go.
goes. Yeah, I ain't drinking
And
this
the
crap.
comic just gets tossed in a box after they get their 5 likes. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't care what you're having for breakfast.
How many times is this guy gonna read Batman and the Outsiders #1?
Well, as long as it takes to get through big fat plate of corned beef and hash. I don't know, man. Like when social media became this platform for people to share not only what they're doing
Hmm.
but what they're eating, I was like, what are we doing here? I
Yeah.
don't care. I don't. It doesn't
No.
matter to me what you just consumed, what you threw down
Mm-mm.
your gullet. I don't care. You
No,
know?
you and I are friends, and I don't ask you what you just ate.
No, we don't send each other pictures of food, and you cook. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you might tell me, "Oh, I made
Yeah.
ravioli." Okay, wonderful. So we're
Yeah.
communicating. It's great. But
Mm-hmm.
you're not sending me
But you don't need
pictures.
photographic evidence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I believe
We
you.
don't need a paper trail. Yeah.
I believe you. Yes. So I'm
I'm I made 3 ingredient dough bagels. Oh, I don't believe you.
yeah. Oh yeah. Well, hold on. Let me grab this copy of World's Finest number 40. Set it down right here. Oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Filters. Hashtag. Here we go. Oh yeah. So I did
Word.
read a few books this week. Would you like to discuss those with me?
Let's do it.
In Superman Unlimited number 2, all the plot threads established in the debut issue have been given room to breathe. And while that's not necessarily a bad thing, it does present a problem for the manufacturers of this title's mission statement. It's been hammered home the goal for this series is to be a Superman book for everyone. Rookies to retirement age, hop on board the Metropolis Express. Writer Dan Slott and artist Raphael Albuquerque have saved a seat for you. Yet, with so much going on this early, overloading a new audience is also a surefire way to alienate them. We've got the Daily Planet merger, Jack Ryder and his faux Fox News, Creeper spoiling a secret, a nation rich of kryptonite, plus a new ish power for Superman. While I've had some complaints about repetition of the basics for the new reader's benefit in Summer of Superman special, the dial definitely got turned down this time. Slot does a good job fleshing everything out, but the casual or uninitiated fan might get lost in the fray. Speaking of that whole new ish power, it definitely diminishes the solicited stakes Superman faces in a world now abundant with green kryptonite. I can imagine the sound of sticky keyboards clacking from basements around the country, replacing serene quiet with sausage fingered rage.
Logically speaking, Superman would just have an armor to protect him from kryptonite weapons, and none of the general populace would be the wiser.
Touche, Meatloaf Matt 69. Can't say I necessarily dug what was done, but I'm also not going to sit in a dude dungeon devoid of natural light, crying into a cup of ramen. Personally, I consider this very retro and I kinda dig it. Jam packed with traditional superhero action, perfectly suited for a spinner rack, my inner 12-year-old is very satisfied. My current curmudgeonly state, however, always leaves room for skepticism. So there you have it. It is. I got mixed feelings on this. You know what I mean? It
Mm-hmm.
appeals to a certain part of me, and then to the. I guess it'd be fair to say, the adult reader. It just ain't clicking. You know what I mean? Um,
Sure. Sure.
it, one of the big things is those, as I referred to, solicited stakes.
Sure.
There, I don't want to spoil anything here,
Mm-hmm.
but the power that he has, wisely, there's like a time limit put on it. So it's not like
Mm-hmm.
this thing he can use 24/7 all the time to
Is he
save his
taking
biscuits.
Miraclo?
What's that?
Is he taking Miraclo?
No, no, no. I was asking. I thought you were
No.
like, is it a miracle? It could be.
No.
Um, but no, it's just like uh, I understand what Slot's trying to do here. It's just that I don't know if I'm fully 100% behind it yet. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Hence that skepticism. I still got to let it
Sure.
work its way through at least a few more issues before I finally say, nope, this is garbage, or yeah, this is so.
And
You know?
Not digging the art.
Oh yeah, well,
Ooh.
yeah, I didn't make many comments on the art. I'm not a huge Albuquerque guy, um, but
Mm.
I've seen worse. I've seen better. So I didn't want to like nitpick at that too much. I suppose, at
I
least
mean,
not this time.
this is supposed to be the big book.
Well, um, I I wouldn't consider it that. I think the Superman book is the big
Superman, like we
Superman
talked
book.
about before, the Superman should be
Yeah.
the big Superman book. Like they should have continued the numbering of Superman, but threw Unlimited on it, throw Slot on that, and then move Williamson to a brand new Superman #1. Just, I,
I see what
I
you're
don't know.
saying.
Yeah, I know very very little about the movie that's coming out, other than he yelled at Lex for his dog, um, and looked really stupid doing so. I don't know. I I don't see the I don't see the on ramp from the movie theater to this.
Yeah, we've discussed that.
Which,
It's a tough thing
yeah,
to figure out.
yeah,
Um, but what I was going to say is like I agree with you. Let's say that existed.
hmm,
Let's say that was legitimate. If that's the case, you would rather have Williamson doing a #1 than what we're
hmm,
getting right now with Slot. I would think.
sure.
You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, 100%.
And you know, there's a lot going on in this book,
Hmm.
and I don't mind it. I kind of dig it, bang for your buck too. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? But yeah, I could see someone getting a little confused early on, like,
Hmm.
wait, who, huh, what, where, what's going on here? And it's
Yep.
just so messy compared to the original goal. You know,
Sure, sure.
where this is Superman for Nana. That's who it's
Hmm.
for. They can now read
Yeah.
this at the Bridge Club, or it's
Yeah,
Superman
they
for the
watched Lois and
janitor.
Clark.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
can
Right,
follow it.
right. Or
Yeah.
man, I really want to see.
The animated series.
I want to see Superman busted into an office saying,
Yeah.
"Give me my dog."
Yeah, exactly.
This
Exactly.
is supposed to be the book for that guy. No, 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 not happening.
Has there been,
Mm,
again, pretending
sure.
that anybody who goes to the movie is going to go to a comic book store?
Okay.
I'm sure
Hypothetically.
it's happened at one point. This is a big hypothetical.
Okay.
Has there been one movie that, as the movie's coming out, had a comic that was not even new reader friendly, but just friendly in general?
Um,
Ever?
it's tough to say because okay.
'Cause, I mean, pre-crisis, we could do Superman the movie. I'm sure
Yeah,
every
yeah,
issue
yeah.
of Superman could be anybody's first.
Yeah, that was a much simpler time as
Of
well.
course. Yeah.
You
Because
know,
those comics were written by comic book writers.
yeah. Well, here's the thing. Anytime we have one of these discussions, is I'm always like trying to figure out the parameters of what would be fair game because uh, the X-Men movies, I think, if you jumped on X-Men around that time, you ended up with new X-Men, right?
You'd be
You think
lost.
so?
You'd be
Yes.
lost.
It's been so
Oh yeah,
long
because
since I read
this
them.
is when Claremont came back. Those books were ridiculous.
Yeah, but
The
what?
teams like had no. They were totally weird teams.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I guess
The
you're
only
right.
thing they did was change the logo to look like the movie logo.
It gave them the black leather suits.
Well, that came later.
Yeah.
Yeah, that came during the Morrison stuff, which was after the movie had hit.
Yeah. When did new
Yeah,
X Men hit? Was that after the first movie or second movie?
I. When did the first movie come? When did the movies come out? I know when
2000.
the. I think Morrison was 2001, so maybe
Okay.
it was like the second movie.
Maybe.
But
Yeah.
as it was coming out, that was Claremont,
I'm only
and
citing that because the hype was like palpable. You know what I mean? Like
hmm,
it
sure,
was legit at that point in time, and you had brought up the original Superman movie as an example. We're
hmm,
still talking pre superhero movie explosion. Like we were so
sure,
used to like it wasn't the cultural zeitgeist.
Yeah.
It wasn't a household thing like it is
Sure.
now, So that's how far back I'm trying to go mentally. And X-Men was, right on the
Kind
cusp
of a
of that.
domino tip.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. Mm.
But like
Um,
even when the Spider-Man movies came out, like you had Straczynski with like a spider totem.
yeah,
You
it's
know,
true.
it's like how there really isn't a one-to-one on that. It's so I mean this is just par for the course. It's
Yeah.
don't try to make the books readable. Just put a number one on it.
Or here's a wild one for you. What you can do for the kiddos.
Mm.
Thankfully, since you brought up Amazing Spider-Man, is have amazing, pun intended, covers. Right? Make the
Mm-hmm.
covers fantastic because who was it at the time? Scott Campbell doing those ASM covers, was it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Uh
and
huh.
those
J.
things were
Scott
like,
Campbell. Yeah.
yeah, J. Scott Campbell. Thank you.
Yep.
Those were things were beautiful. I remember at the time,
Mm-hmm. Oh
um,
yeah. Oh yeah. Knock
poster
your socks
worthy.
off.
You know.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Absolutely.
So here we are. We're looking at the cover right now of Superman Unlimited 2. Superman is getting his booty kicked, and there's a
Mm-hmm.
kryptonite blade and brass knuckles in there. I don't know if that's enough to intrigue a
But
newbie.
I mean,
You know.
there's probably what 7 or 8 covers for that issue. So
True.
who
True.
cares?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Now it's a whole new ball of
Yeah.
wax. I get you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. All right. Well, this is going to be officially the hypothetical episode of the Bada Bin Show, where we think of imaginary situations and how they would play
Mm-hmm.
out in the real world. But yeah. All right. So that was Superman Unlimited numero dos. Listen, man. Speaking of trying not to bring up the same book week after week after week, I feel like I'm going to be guilty of committing that sin. And I listen, it's hard, especially
Mm-hmm.
considering how the absolute universe is really becoming this hot property. You know what I mean? I
Mm-hmm.
still sub to a good chunk of the books, and here we have Absolute Batman number 9, and yeah. So listen, if anybody's getting pissed off, and you're like, Dave, dude, diversify
Change the
your
record.
profile. Yeah, right, right. Stop beating that freaking dead horse. Like, cut it out. Remember, it's J. Scott Campbell, not just Scott Campbell. We can't trust you, your opinions on these things. Uh, Email us, badabinshow@gmail.com, and feel free to yell at me. But in lieu of any angry emails to that effect, I do want to talk about this issue a little bit because you know what? Let me just do a little review stuff here. Even though I shouldn't call it a review,
Mm-hmm.
I just said don't call it a review, and then I'm doing that same thing. But anyway, let me share my thoughts on Absolute Batman number 9. The previous arc of Absolute Batman spent too much time trying to channel horror vibes and served primarily as a showcase for an unimpressive twist on a classic villain. To be fair, writer Scott Snyder also used that space to reveal the mysterious Arkham mandated yellow snow shouldn't be the worst form of flake. Part of me wonders if all the book truly needed was the return of regular series artist Nick Dragotta, who took the last 2 issues off. There's such an infectious energy to his visuals. Honestly, the dynamic duo of Dragotta and Scott Snyder are proving to be a creative power couple that's hard to beat in modern comics. This issue had it all. Analyzing it after my initial read, I couldn't find any cracks in the armor. The big buzz was the introduction of Bane, and on the surface alone, especially after the Mr. Freeze fumble, should have been good for an audible groan. Guess what? Turned out to be a perfect fit. Pair that along with a solid plot, script, pacing, and the aforementioned A plus art, we got the whole absolute enchilada. Please note, the absolute enchilada is TM copyright Bada Bin Show 2025. While I and my fellow comic fans can be a fickle lot, when it comes to Ab Batty number 9, good luck finding any faults. Loved it. Absolutely love
Very
this
good.
book. I just love the living crap out of it. And to speak of Nick Dragota here too, excuse me, Mark Wade is still choking me.
He's still working you.
He
Yeah.
is. He's got his hands on my neck, man. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of think of his art like what I imagine a really good storyboard for like a film or something live action would even be, to show
Okay.
like all that just flow, that kinetic power, you know what I mean? I feel it
Mm-hmm.
in all of his panels. And there are times I can see some of his visuals and the way he maybe details people, simple, you know but he doesn't need to do a whole hell of a lot when he has such a good flow. And then just to follow up on my bold statement of the creative team there, I do think that is applicable in many cases to the start of a lot of Scott Snyder's series. When,
Okay.
I mean, I'm going to ask your opinion here on this in a
Mm-hmm.
second, but when Snyder's like firing on all cylinders, just flat out, he's tough to beat. And when he's paired with an artist that shows a considerable amount of talent, that tends to be one of the better books
Oh
out
yeah.
there that you can buy. You know what I mean? It's
Mm-hmm.
just later on, will he stick the landing? Will the artist
Yeah.
be sticking around? One of the weaknesses I thought was the last two issues with a fill-in artist. Here we are all over
Mm-hmm.
again. So, yeah. What are your thoughts on Senor Snyder and his ability to write the
I
hell
would
out of something?
say I remember, when the New 52 hit, I was not a fan. But a couple of books from that line were undeniable.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to hate everything because I was throwing a temper tantrum. But John's on Justice League and Snyder and Capullo on Batman, they felt like events every single month.
Mm-hmm.
They
Right.
weren't events every single month, but they felt like events. They felt like must reading, which is something we don't get. And in the case of Batman, these weren't, not every issue was like the world was on the line. It wasn't a universe shattering situation. It was just damn good storytelling and fantastic art. It always felt like an event. So you're it stands to reason here. Dragotta, uh, I thought he killed it in the first arc. I have this issue. I haven't read it yet, but Snyder did great there. I didn't read the Freeze stuff yet, but yeah, no, I agree. When Snyder's on and he's got a great dance partner, there's very few that could beat him. I
Oh.
think, and again, haven't read it. I think my only complaint about it would be, not having read it, why the rush to get the Bane?
Um,
You know,
but that's the thing, though, right? I'll
I
admit
don't want this
this.
to turn into Ultimate Spider-Man,
Right.
where
Yeah.
it's like, oh, we're a year and a half in. Where's Venom? It's like, no, Venom came 30 years later.
Mm-hmm.
Let's lay some foundation here. Let's have our guy get some battle wounds before he faces the thing that's going to stop him.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
And
it's
of course,
inevitable.
I don't think we're getting a back, the back broken here. We might, who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But it just feels like a little quick.
Yeah, that's fair. It's fair. But in the defense of it, I suppose, to play devil's advocate, there's really no other way to do it, right? Because you bring up Ultimate Spider-Man, the
Mm-hmm.
Ultimates line from back in the day, at least, was the
Mm-hmm.
template for what Absolute is trying to achieve now in many
Yeah.
ways. But yet again, in the defense of it, even the Mr. Freeze arc, while I wasn't a fan at all of
Mm-hmm.
the whole, I call it the gimmicky, redesign of Mr. Freeze, it did serve a purpose. You know what I mean? I
Mm-hmm.
referred to the the flakes, the
Sure.
snow, and how that plays into Arc M's ultimate, you know, scheme, if you will. Same applies here with
Sure.
Bane. So, in that sense, sure. You're getting your reintroduction of these villains, so you get your, your buzz out there on the street that, hey, here's the absolute version of, whoever here. But I
Yeah.
really think it just worked. It fit. It's seamless. So
Oh,
to me,
I'm
that's
sure he's
very
got a
smart.
Bible he's working from. So
Oh,
I
dude,
mean,
yeah.
I'm not concerned, but I feel like we're in a little bit of a rush.
Mm,
You know, it's like we don't want to lay the foundation. We don't want to build a basement.
mm-hmm.
We just want a house. So get there.
Yeah,
And again, I haven't read it. It could be the best thing in the world. Like you said, you liked it a lot.
yeah, I
And I'm
loved it.
sure
I
I'll
loved
like it a
it.
lot.
Yeah.
But I feel like maybe we take our time. You know, it's like we talked about with the free comic book day thing, where it's like, oh, we're already crossing the streams. What is the rush? Unless they know something that we don't, and comics aren't healthier than ever, and we are on borrowed time. What's the rush?
Yeah, no, I
I
hear
don't
you.
know.
If you ever watch the Bada Bin show, when you see me looking up either which way, or when I'm talking, I'm not looking at you, but I'm looking
Mm,
around. That's because
I'm
my
very offended.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? Don't blame me. Blame my brain. Because Senor David over here can't chew gum and walk at the same time. So when I'm thinking deeply, trying to,
Mhm.
assess a file up here in the gray matter somewhere, my eyes are like physically moving like the cursor.
Because I
You
am
know what I
very
mean?
distracting.
That too. This is,
Yeah.
yeah, undeniable. But like,
Hmm.
to your point where it's like, what's the rush? Do we need Bane here? Okay. So when my eyes were going over here, which they probably are right now, I'm like, okay, you could essentially create someone new to serve the
Well,
role,
that's not going to happen.
right? Exactly
Yeah.
though, that Bane plays into. So what Snyder's doing here is seasoning in these
Hmm.
introductions of these characters, um, but he is still laying down the groundwork for something
Yeah.
that looks like it's going to be really friggin'
Really good.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, it's just kind of it's the industry at large right now.
Mm-hmm.
I was at a shop a couple weeks ago, and they were doing like their live auctions because people don't go to comic stores anymore. Spoiler alert.
Oh, no.
So yeah, they sell stuff online now. That's where their ratios go. And I'm listening to this guy as I'm digging, and it's like, yeah, this is Uncanny X-Men number 23 or what, number 12. It's the first appearance of people you'll never hear of again. But he's naming these people.
Uh-huh.
Every single issue he discussed is the first appearance of some character who is
Okay.
not going to matter next month. It's like, oh, this is the first appearance of the person driving a cab. And it's like, we haven't learned anything. It's just going to be, because like this one here, it's the first appearance of Bane, the absolute Bane. 2 issues ago, the first appearance of absolute Mr. Freeze. Everything has to be the first appearance of somebody, and that's not sustainable. But I get why they do it, because people are going to buy it for
Well,
that, and
yes.
no other reason.
And to be honest with you, would you, okay, what you just said is true. Everything has to be to, get the interest
Yeah.
of the fandom and reintroduction of this character in this new
Mm-hmm.
universe or whoever. But since you're going to have it anyway,
Mm-hmm.
you'd want it to be the way that Snyder is doing it overall.
Oh yeah, and this isn't an indictment on Snyder and
Yeah.
his talent or his vision.
Mm.
It's just the way the industry is now, where we're more focused on bullshit covers and bullshit first appearances than anything else. And I feel like I'm turning into one of those people that I saw at the shop back in 1991 who were
Mm-hmm.
saying the same thing about my generation. Where it's like, oh, you want the first appearance of Shatterstar, you know,
Yeah.
which is worth nothing and never will be. Um, it just feels like we're not breeding another generation here. This is this is a surgical strike. It's like I'm gonna get the first appearance of Absolute Bane, and I'm going to sell it.
Yeah.
I'm out the door. Don't know. I mean, Snyder, wonderfully talented. Well, you know, he's definitely top 5 of this generation. So, not an indictment on him, but part and parcel, the rest of the industry is trying to follow suit or is establishing the trail, and it's largely garbage.
Yes. Well, Chris, I'd hate to inform you of this, but now the music is officially too loud, right? You're like, dude, the next generation, those whippersnappers with their hula
Well, I
hoops
mean,
and
there won't
Nintendo
be
games.
another. There won't be a next generation, is my worry.
Well, okay, yes. All right, I understand. Now, okay, I understood it wasn't an indictment on Snyder, but
Or this issue.
right, but much like you said, where Snyder's working from because he's one of the best in the business.
He's methodical. He's
He is.
methodical.
So he's working from a Bible. He's working from whatever.
He's
So
got it. He
to-
knows the ending.
to make the analogy to music, you don't get whatever type of music without blues, without this, without whatever music that came before. Everything becomes like an amalgam or inspired by something else. And
Of course.
there's a lot of times I'll hear something that those younger folks are jamming into their ear holes now, and I go, wow, this sounds a lot like this from 1992 or that from 78 or whatever. And they're like, whatever, dude, shut up, I don't care, I'm listening to my song. Like, you don't need to perform an anatomy on everything I enjoy to let me know this is
Sure.
where this organ came from, or
But
this was
this
a
generation
template.
isn't listening to the song.
Okay, right, true. They're just looking at the cover of the
And
album.
slabbing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're looking at the image on the MP3. But dude, I sound so not hip, so uncool when I say crap like that. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on. But anyway, yes, you could easily say this keeps going on, if not this next generation, but the one after it, whether it's due to these attitudes, technology, it's over. Or, you cite who's saying this is healthy? Who's the one, it's always a spin. There's always,
Oh, yeah.
whoever it is in the industry trying to sell you something, spin doctoring everything to make you believe what they say is gospel and true. So maybe the generation after, it's gone.
Sure.
Okay. But I mean, that can be said about a lot of things. It's just, hopefully, fingers crossed, extremities, and various things crossed. It sticks
I just want it to
around for a
outlive me.
Yeah, wouldn't that
Yeah,
be
I just
wonderful?
want it to outlive me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Unless you get cryogenically frozen, and then you wake up in 1,000 years and go, "Holy cow, we got, I don't know, what's a great word other than absolute and ultimate, extreme."
Those are it.
I was gonna say extreme, but that's owned by like Rob Liefeld or something.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
and we did that in the 90s anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
We
Extreme
had extreme
everything.
justice.
Yeah, they're right. Give me a good word. Come on now, you're on the spot. Give me a word that just superlative Bane in the year 5,823. You'd be surprised when they take your head out, put it on a robot body. You're gonna go, holy crap! Another one?
Why didn't they wait until issue 3 for this?
Jesus Christ! Took 30 years for the last one. Now you're telling me it's been
50.
3,000? Yeah. It's too long. This time it's too long. Last time too short. Now too long. But yeah. So there we go. Keeping in line with the absolute universe, yet another book I feel like I should get tattooed on my forehead because I talk about it quite a bit is Absolute Martian Manhunter. But, there's a beautiful thing about checking out books that, get your juices percolating a little bit, is it makes you more interested in some of the other work that creative team is putting out, especially if you're not familiar with them overly or what have you. So I wanted to read more Dennis Camp. I actually subbed to one of his Image series, and at the last minute, I'm looking at the monthly cost of my sub. I'm thinking about my wife with a rolling pin. I'm looking at my couch. I'm looking at the dog house outside, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what this is gonna be. Assorted crisis events. Yeah, you're gone, baby. But I've heard a few good things about what he's got cooking over at Marvel with the Ultimates. Yet again, we're talking Ultimates, Absolute, and
Mm-hmm.
Superlative. Here we go again. Where's White Snake? Here we go again on our own. But I decided to jump in, see what it was all about, and I have those thoughts that I would like to share with you, Chris, and the world at large
Let's do it.
right now. We all have blind spots when it comes to certain books from the big two, Ultimates being one of mine. And let me warn you, kiddos, like late night bathroom trips, they get more frequent with age. Unfortunately, there's no medication with a lengthy list of small print side effects to fix that. The only remedy is to read. So I'd previously tested the water with Ultimate Wolverine, and that earned a ticket to Dropsville. Thanks, but no thanks. The treatment wasn't worth the cure. Thing is, I was born with a pesky glutton for punishment gene, and after enjoying Absolute Martian Manhunter, wanted to see what writer Dennis Camp had moving and shaking over at Marvel. So there I am, pondering if I should pick up the trades, when I notice I can start subbing for issue 13. Sweet. First year crossed off the calendar, this should be a good spot to jump in fresh without a large learning curve. Do they make pills to prevent absurd assumptions? No? I'm willing to join the clinical trial. Despite reading the synopsis page, I didn't know what the F was going on. It wasn't a bad comic. Story was fine. Art by Juan Frigeri was also good. Yet, if someone told me Ultimates was the best book Marvel slaps on the shelves, or it's the sloppiest serving of sequential storytelling I'd ever see, issue 13 didn't help me form an opinion of my own. I let off saying I'm not versed in Ultimates, and the same applies to Camp's work, this being only the second title of his I've snagged. I'm developing a sense on style, see what he's setting up, but this ish wasn't enough to convince me I should invest time and money into another monthly. Trade waiting may be an ugly option, but with the Ultimates, it's the safest way for me to start. I made a mistake. I'm human. I'm fallible. What can I say? It's not the good old days anymore that I
That looks
pine
like
for.
every Marvel book.
Oh well,
That could be every Marvel book.
You think so? Just by the interior
Yeah.
panels I
Just the
shared
interior that you
alone.
shared. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
It's like,
listen.
oh, a couple of people talking in a room.
Hey, it wasn't the most exciting ish. It wasn't what I was hoping for. So I
Mm.
think if anybody out there is watching this right now and they're like, dude, I love the Ultimates. Why did you just crap all over it? I don't think that's a fair assessment. It's just my first foray into a book that I thought would be the perfect place to land the plane. You know what I mean? I thought it was
Sure.
a terrific tarmac for me to, sample the wares. No. And I was just saying, pining for the old days. How many times have I cited or brought up, man, when we were kids, you just jumped into Captain America
Anything.
237, X
Mm-hmm.
Men 289. You didn't know what the hell happened the first four issues, but you could pick it
Yeah.
up fairly quick and go with it. And, there was an excitement there and everything else. And this was just, eh, put it this way, it's already been canceled. I already yanked it off my pole. So I got another
Well,
issue
didn't
coming,
Marvel
but
also cancel it?
no, 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 no. What I
Isn't
believe,
that the rumor?
this is the rumor that I heard. Are you ready for this,
Mm-hmm.
guys? So hold on to your hats. Is that the theory is they're only going to go to issue 24 on this volume of all the
Yeah.
Ultimate titles. So 2 years, and then
Mm-hmm.
So long, suckers. I'm not super in the know, obviously. I'm just some schmuck sitting
Sure.
here on YouTube having a really bad case of verbal diarrhea. So to speak to the validity of that, I can't. Um,
Hmm.
but I guess in many ways it would inspire a lot of folks to say, "Hey, why would I get this every month when there is,
Yeah.
you know, we all know nothing lasts forever. Comics now is completely different. There's everything's basically a mini. We've talked about this, but
Hmm.
something else happens the moment they put a finish line. They put that tape out at the end of the
Hmm.
marathon or the sprint, more appropriate
Yeah.
nowadays, which makes you go,
What's
I
the
could
point?
pick up the trades. I'll go,
Yeah.
2 years from now, I'll go to the record store and get the 99-cent trade of
Yep.
the Ultimates and biggity bam, biggity boom. I saved a lot of money and I still get it. I win. Ha ha.
There you go.
Um, Marvel doesn't win. Dennis Camp doesn't win. Juan Frigeri, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, doesn't win. But I'm sorry. You got to look out for number one, which is me. So, yeah.
True that.
But yeah, if you want to dive into a new series, I would recommend waiting or starting from the beginning or just skipping it entirely. My
Yeah.
ultimate, absolute summer vacation. Yeah. So, but enough about me. I feel like I'm just talking about myself too much and what's, you know, up with me and my peepers. Let's open the floor a little bit. Let's dance.
Oh,
What do you say?
I
You want
gotta
a
talk.
tango?
Okay.
Want a shimmy? I did a little dance earlier with
You
World's
did. You
Finest.
did.
I'm willing to dance with everybody on the internet, but you got to take the lead.
Okay, Whitney Houston.
Okay,
We will.
I want to
We will
dance
dance.
with somebody. I want to feel the heat
The
with
heat. Yeah.
somebody. Ooh, you just inspire me to sing. What you got
Mm-hmm.
over there,
Mm-hmm.
big guy? What's crack a lacking?
Let's see, I'm trying to think if I've read any more new stuff. I read the latest issue of Titans,
Oh,
where, believe it or not, we have a team member
uh huh.
who the other Titans aren't sure they can trust.
No.
Yeah, I mean, spoiler alert. Yeah, I know. It's a shock.
Yeah.
There's a team
Wow.
member that they don't know if they can trust.
Bummer.
And the latest issue ends with a last page reveal of Terra promising to show the Titans some trouble.
Okay.
Um, feel like we've been here before.
A few times, maybe, perhaps.
Maybe a
Okay.
few times. Yeah. It's not terrible, but well, I say that so I could say this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Titan's storytelling is formulaic, and it has been for quite a while. When they bring back the original team, they like to play the hits. Unfortunately, they don't know when to stop. So you play all the hits, and then it's like, do you have any new ideas? Well, no. Okay, we'll cancel the book again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, we need something new. We definitely need something new. While I was at the record store last weekend, a different record store,
Mm-hmm.
because we are blessed with a sizable record store chain out here.
A bounty.
And yes, it's true. It's true. And I decided to pick up some convenience trades because not that I don't feel like digging for comics in my room, but my wife was a teacher
Mm-hmm.
and she was also a volunteer for the past few years. She decided to stop volunteering because it's a long drive. And as such, she lost her classroom. So I had to go and pack up her classroom and cram it into my comic room. So it's not that I don't want to dig from through my boxes. I just can't get to them because there's a lot of classroom stuff in the way.
Wow. That's funny
Yeah.
because I was looking at you, man, and I was ready to call BS. I'm like, nobody wants to dig for their book. Nobody.
No, I don't mind doing it.
Really?
I don't mind
Wow.
doing it.
I hate digging for my own stuff. You know?
The only problem
Mm.
for me digging is that
Yeah.
I want to read everything.
Yeah.
You know, like that's why I can't do like an organization project, because it's like I sit there and it's like I got stacks and stacks and stacks, and it's like, oh, let's flip through this. Okay, let's flip through this one, and then nothing gets done. So not that I can't, but not that I won't, but I can't. That's what I'm at.
Okay.
So I had this wild hair to check out a series I remember loving. I was going to say growing up, but I was a growed up at this point.
Legally.
And yeah, legally, I could be drafted into war. And it was boom.
What
Teen
you got
Titans
there?
Volume 3.
Ooh, Teen
The
Titans.
Jeff Johns run here.
Nice.
And this one was, I remember when this launched, and it was 2003. Long after the speculator boom, long after the time where I was afraid that I would miss out on a comic. This spun out of Young Justice. You know, there was Young Justice, there was Titans, adjectiveless Titans. They came together for a crossover call, or a miniseries called Graduation Day. And from that spawned Outsiders, which was written by Judd Winnick, and Teen Titans Volume 3, written by Jeff Johns. Now, I had not updated my pull list at my comic shop. So I still had like Young Justice on there. I go to the shop the day this comes out, sold out. Like, okay. So back then the industry, or the retail marketplace here was a little bit more healthy. So I drive a few exits down the freeway, go to the next shop, sold out. Next exit, next few exits down, sold out. I was, when I found the book, it was like 7:30 at night, because I was, hitting the shops on my way home from work. And I was like 45 miles from my house. And I'm like, oh crap. I thought I was going to miss it. And got home, read it, loved it. And I mentioned that it's hard to deviate from the formula of establishing a new Titans team, because Johns was able to do it. This is not playing the hits. It's giving just enough service to the legacy characters of the Titans. Here you can see that it's, we got from the, the glory days, the golden age of the Titans, we got Raven, we got Cyborg, we got Starfire, we got Gar, and then we have the Young Justice kids who were promoted. Which is another thing that I wanted to talk about at some point. The promotions of characters, because we don't get that anymore either. And I think that's a very special thing. The story we get here, it's a lot of fallout from Graduation Day, which had the death of Donna Troy, or the sort of death of Donna Troy, and the death of Lilith, who I didn't know who she was at that point. I think this is the first time I'm reading this with a breadth of knowledge of the Titans, which is making it all that much more sweet. When I first read this, I didn't know who Jericho was. I didn't know anything. I knew that there was a Judas contract. I knew that there was a Titans hunt. I couldn't tell you anything about them, because my entire Titans experience to that point was Young Justice. And the adjectiveless Titans, which I kind of just bought to buy, because I was a completionist even then. It's like, oh, it's a DC book, I'll get it. Didn't know anything about it. This book actually felt, like I talked about with the Snyder Capullo Batman, it felt like an event. This felt like an event every single month. It has that post-crisis, pre-Infinite Crisis maturation. You have Impulse becoming Kid Flash. And it actually follows a maturation arc where he runs up against Deathstroke, because you gotta have Deathstroke, but this wasn't treated like the bingo card that it is now. It was just like, we gotta hit the ground running. So we have Deathstroke, and not no pun intended here, he kneecaps Impulse.
Ooh.
His whole power is he runs fast. He just got kneecapped.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, that's something. And then Impulse, it starts off with all the characters like basically with their adult. So like Impulse is there with Wally, or he's within earshot of Wally, because Wally's like, hey, Bart's a good kid. I just don't see much in him. I don't trust him to take on the mantle. I don't trust him to be what he needs to be in order to be a Flash. And he takes that to heart. So while he's healing up, And the story they tell here, it's like his knee is busted, but his metabolism so fast it tries to re-sew itself to, it tries to fix itself. So the doctors are like re-breaking and re-breaking and re-breaking his knee so it sets properly. And as he's working out the kinks of this, he goes to the San Francisco Public Library and reads every single book in it. And it takes him like a day. So he actually matures. He grows up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really, really well done. It's here where we find out who was the DNA donor for Superboy. Because up till this point, we knew it was half Superman, half human. Here we find out that human was Lex Luthor.
Mm-hmm.
So we have maturation there. Wonder Woman shows up and she's like, I don't want you on this team. And there's a big fight between the Justice League and the Teen Titans, and it's wonderful. And Wonder Girl here is being haunted by visions of Ares. And she's being thrown out of schools because she's too dangerous and unruly. So she grows up. Tim here, he's kind of leading the younger set. And he's lying to the grown-ups. He's like, oh yeah, we'll stay on the sidelines. We'll do what you need us to do. And then meanwhile, he's orchestrating everything. And he's behind the scenes trying to get more information on the Luthor DNA. Wonderful stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what makes all the returns to the Titans so underwhelming. Because Johns took just enough of the history. And I didn't know the history when I first read it. But it was enough for me to kind of get a piece of it and realize that this is something that's important. And this is a franchise and a family that people hold near and dear, and for good reason. And it blew me away. Reading it, I read this entire trade in one sitting. I never do that. One sitting. And I read the second trade that night. And it's phenomenal. And it's just such a shame that we can't get more like this. Instead we just play the hits. And it's like, oh, a traitor among us. Ooh, last page reveal. Oh, it's Deathstroke. And there's turmoil in the Titans. Let's have a cover where they all have their costumes on the ground behind them and they're walking away. It ain't earned. Johns didn't play with any of that crap. He didn't play the hits. He took just enough and brought it into the then present and just ran with it. And if you're Titans curious and you're scared to get into it because there is such a long history, this is definitely something you could jump in on.
Right on.
Because it's just so well written. You don't need to know that Donna Troy just died, because they tell you. And they tell you why that's important. And they do it in a way that isn't a text page.
Mm-hmm.
It's just really, really good. And the art here, it's a Mike McKone, who I really wasn't a hugest fan of McKone. I thought he was a little loose. But, it's not bad. It's actually really quite good.
Well, let me blow you up there. Let's see that up close and personal.
Yeah, some Mike McKone here.
I've never, I can't say I'm the biggest McKone fan, but I've never minded his art. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you got like a Robin and Connor here. It's good stuff. It's real good stuff. I like the Michael Turner cover too. That's good too. Mm-hmm. But I decided I wanted to pick up some convenience copies so I could actually read it again. And I was wowed.
That's great.
My socks were rocked.
Dude, isn't it
Yeah.
just awesome? Like, okay, so first off, prepare to like have your brain turn into gelatin and leak out of your ear here. But dude, we're talking, that came out, when was it? 2003?
3.
So 22 years
22
ago.
years ago.
22 years. Hold on. Let me scoop that up.
Almost
and try
a quarter century. Yeah.
Let's try to put it back in there. Oh my God. First off, that's enough to shock you into
and I still remember the day I bought the first issue.
Yeah. Yeah. But
yeah.
I think other than the weird thing I just said about your brain turning into goop, is like it was great then.
Mm-hmm.
You were a different person. You were at a
Oh yeah.
different place of your fandom of someone your consumption of fiction. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? But here you are, all these years later, and it's just as good. Like
Yeah.
it has. What's the criteria we always ask for on the Bada Bin show?
Mm-hmm.
Does it stand the test of time? If
That's
so,
true.
then you can start talking to me about tens out of 10 or,
Yeah.
whatever. But you need that separation. You need to
Oh
have
yeah. You need
that
that air.
legacy,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it even warms my heart a little bit listening to you talk about it in such a fashion because
Mm-hmm.
now I want to run out and find it. You know,
Yeah,
I,
and because
I hope I could find it for
it's.
$1, but I doubt I could. But still,
Oh, I mean, it's like it's only. Yeah, it was a $10 trade.
Mm,
I mean, so I didn't really get that much of a discount, all told, but it's really good because it takes one thing
hmm
that the Adjectiveless Titans book the mission statement for that book was, okay, we have the classic Titans, and we're going to have them train the next generation. So like you had like a Nightwing and Donna, Flash, a Kid Flash, or I guess it was just Flash at that point. I think Roy was part of it, Aqualad, and they each picked a rookie. So it's like Damage came into it, Argent from the Dan Jurgens Teen Titans came into it. Jesse Quick was Wally's pick.
hmm
They picked Starfire and Cyborg as rookies because they had gone through some crap. The entire reason that the Titans team came together is because I guess Vic was kind of hacked and caused all sort of calamity with like I think it was a Technus Imperative or something like that. It was a JLA Titans miniseries, and Starfire she had turned evil for a bit, so they brought her in as a tentative rookie too, and it was all about this making the Titans legacy live on. And for the first like 12 or so issues, they did just that, and it was great. And then editorials like, nah, we want to change direction. Here are these like weird kids in jumpsuits that the DEO kids, and it was so bad, so bad. But
Bummer.
Johns did take that with like we have these Young Justice kids. Let's promote them to Titans proper. And I mean, Impulse was already a Titan. He was a Titan toward the tail end of the Marv Wolfman stuff. If you look at those teams, it's weird. Like Kyle Rayner was a Titan. What's his face? Impulse was a Titan. Supergirl was a Titan. You know, in those weird final issues of the Wolfman stuff. But here we have these legacy characters, the core of basically, yeah, it's the DC Comics Presents number 26 team plus Beast Boy, training Young Justice, and it's just really really good. And biggest recommendation, this is why Jeff Johns is just tops, because it wasn't he didn't make it about him,
hmm
and he didn't crib. This is all just good stuff.
Right on.
I know. But I can't even say it's a counterpoint to that. But another thing that I read, and this is the wrong trade,
Okay.
because I'm at the very end of the first trade of
Wait,
this
hold on.
run.
Hold on. Chris.
Yeah,
Listen, dude. We got to have
Sure.
this discussion right here, right now.
hit me.
You have the wrong trade,
I do.
but you're going to be talking about like the same material, so it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
But for a man who says he don't mind digging, wasn't willing to walk like a couple rooms over to grab
Yeah.
the right trade.
I was already sitting.
You were already sitting down.
Yeah, but
so yeah,
But then I'd have to remember to bring it back.
Ah.
That's the thing.
I get you.
Yeah,
All
so
right.
it's like.
I'm
like,
sorry.
I'll leave it on the desk, and like tonight when I want to read it, I'm like, I got to get up and go to that other room. And
Yeah, it's too much back
just
and
a mess.
forth. Yeah.
It
All
is.
right.
It is.
All
I
right.
already got my steps in.
I'm sorry.
Um,
My bad for even bringing it up. Shame me.
But this is This is the other half of that, and it is Outsiders. This is volume 2. I'm reading through volume 1 right now. I'm at the very very end of it. Um, I remember not really caring for this quite as much as Titans back or Teen Titans back in the day. Um, Winnick's style. Winnick is very very polemic for me. When he's on, I think he's one of the top guys that I've read. When he's not, a few are worse. Um, in Outsiders here, Outsiders kind of comes with an asterisk because he was given a mission statement here, and he included it in his introduction to the first trade, that Dan DiDio wanted this to be the edgy book. This is going to be the book where they curse and where there's adult themes and there's innuendo. And I know you personally hate it when comics will repeat or use a word more often than they should, or just repeatedly use the same word.
Yes.
I know you said something about the PKJ War World thing where it's like they said waif like on every third page.
And dude, I'm guilty of it. Like anybody who's ever watched the Bada Bin show is like, Dave must not have a very good vocabulary. He keeps reusing the same adjectives and words to describe
But you
things.
don't have an editor.
Yeah.
You don't have an editor.
And I just did say my brain was soup.
Mush.
So, mush,
Yes.
yeah. But yeah, dude, it drives me nuts. Drives me nuts.
The waif in Outsiders is bitch.
Oh.
Because this is the edgy adult book. So, bitch. Bitch.
Okay.
Quit your bitching. Are we just going to sit and bitch? You're being a bitch. Dude.
Wow.
It is like every other page. Someone is either called a bitch, accused of being a bitch, or is complaining or bitching.
Okay.
And it's like, okay, enough. But the story's good. The story's quite good because this comes from a period in time where DC was maturing. And so this is basically the other half of the Legacy Titans here. I mean, we've got Dick, we've got Roy, and then we also have some Outsiders legacy here with not Metamorpho here, which I don't remember how that all worked out, but I know it's like not really Metamorpho. But it is quite good. It is definitely more adult, which in 2003 means like lowest hanging fruit and lowest common denominator sort of attempts at maturity, like the aforementioned bitch, and like Marvel's Max line, where the very first word in a Marvel Max book was the F word, of course, because we can't have nice things. But it is good. This is during the President Lex era, so Lex Luthor is president, and he does appear, and he gets kidnapped by the Joker, and it's very very good. The characterization here makes sense. It would make sense that Dick and Roy would be a little bit jaded or cynical. Donna Troy was just killed. And the thing about that, and this is something that Johns and Winnick both said in their introductions to the first trades, is that they didn't want these books to spawn out of a reality shaping universe at risk sort of storyline. They wanted it to be relatively low key, and they did just that with Graduation Day, where Donna Troy isn't killed or sacrificing herself saving the universe, extinguishing a sun eater, nothing like that. She was killed by a reactivated Superman android. It was something straight out of the Bronze Age, just reactivated and killed her. And as such, Young Justice and the Adjectiveless Titans disband, and then they come back together in these two disparate ways. And it's really just a wonderful time capsule for the early days of the Dan DiDio DC, before Dan DiDio became Dan DiDio and wanted to kill everybody and restart everything and reboot everything and take bits of continuity out that he doesn't like anymore. This was this really felt like the next evolution in DC Comics. And I didn't appreciate that at the time because I was still ground floor at this point. But upon reflection and going back, like we said earlier, the test of time, this will age worse than Teen Titans because it is like you could talk to like young people today and be like, yeah, every night there would be these commercials for something called Girls Gone Wild, and they'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? That's got to be a drug dream.
No, that's
or a fever
Instagram.
dream.
That's what that is.
Is it?
Yeah.
But it's like, but just like the lowest common denominator kind of garbage and attempts at edginess that we used to get back then. Outsiders is a little bit more indicative of that, or a little bit more guilty of that, where Teen Titans is more timeless. So this would age a little worse, but the story is great. The story's good. The dialogue outside of the sophomorishness is good. It's good. The characters are good. So it's a weird time capsule to go back to. And thinking about everything that came after this. And I mean, this is 2003. Infinite Crisis was 05, 06. So we were like, we didn't realize it at the time, but we were teetering on the brink of everything changing again. I think Identity Crisis was 04, so we were losing a little bit of our innocence then, and then we were just losing everything the year later. But really weird to go back to this time and be able to reflect on it. And I don't know if it's a law of diminishing returns. I mentioned being a little bit excited for the Fraction run on Batman because with how bad the X-Men have gotten, I'm actually waxing nostalgic on the Fraction stuff that I didn't like when it came out. It's, I don't know. But two series is here that I'd recommend anybody check out if you are, DC curious or DiDio curious. It wasn't always doom and gloom. Mm-hmm. It wasn't always there will be death. Even though death did trigger this. It's there's a lot of hope here. There's a lot of optimism. There's a lot of tempered cynicism instead of just everything sucks. And it's good stuff. It's good stuff here. So I'd recommend Outsiders and Titans. You probably get them dirt cheap.
Not a
Especially
dollar.
the trade. I mean,
but
maybe.
Well, maybe. Perhaps. Yeah.
But I mean, like even the spines here look low rent.
Mm-hmm.
Outsiders. Just what is that? I don't know.
I dig that paper stock though, baby.
Oh, you ain't kidding.
Oh,
you
nice.
ain't kidding.
That's the kind of paper that'll develop a nice smell after a couple decades sitting on a bookshelf.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's nice. Very nice.
Yeah, so these were my big reads. I did go trade crazy here. I already filed a bunch of them away. It's not nothing impressive, nothing important, just stuff that I found for $1, and it's like, all right.
Okay.
A couple other things I did find for $1. Actually, one more thing I found for $1. The other ones I paid like $5 for.
Okay.
I'd never read this before. And speaking, I mean, have I said I hate it when Batman and Superman meet Wonder Woman for the first time? Have I said that a few times?
No.
Because here's this. Here's Trinity, yeah. Which I believe is supposed to be one of the tellings of how they met here. What does it say here? Yes, for the first time ever, the tale of the Dark Knight and the Man of Steel's first meeting with the Amazon princess is told. So there's that for you. If I can get it in the screen right here. I don't know which way I'm going.
You're good.
Yeah. I've got two of me on the screen right now, so I'm flip-flopping. This was $1. And I was like, okay, I've never read it before. Not huge on Wagner. I remember absolutely hating his covers on Batman.
Right.
Like that weird, painted, sort of animated style. Did not like that. But for $1, okay, sure. I get home, and I open it to throw it in my damn spreadsheet. Because I'm like, I wonder what printing of this it is. And I didn't know if this was an autograph or something that was on all of them, but looks like there's like a little... Which way am I going?
There you go.
There we go.
Hello.
There we go. Yeah, so it's sketches of the the costume icons and Matt Wagner's signature.
Very nice.
Yeah, you can't beat that for $1.
No, hell no. Yeah, righteous.
Will I ever read it? Probably not. But
Yeah.
I mean, I don't need to see Batman and Superman meet Wonder Woman. I don't know if I made that clear today. I just assume they know each other and it's okay.
Right. Yeah.
But the the other books I got here were very serendipitous, actually.
Okay.
In reading these, it's like I had this like weird. It's like, oh, I should probably. I became more interested in Donna Troy. So I go to the shop and I went to one of the record stores and I found this on the shelf and it was, I guess it's out of print, and I guess this shop cared about that, so it was $34.99.
Oh, holy
And I'm like,
moly.
I'm like, no,
Yeah.
no, 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 not gonna do that. I go to the same record store, just a different location, and it was $4.99. Same condition, same whatever, and it is the Who is Donna Troy collection, which features one of the greatest single issues of comics ever made, which is I'm gonna biff the number here, of course, but it's oh, they don't have the cover on here. Come on now. Chris Yu is probably like, it's this one, you idiot. It is the New Teen Titans number 38. There it is, right there. You can see the cover right here, and it actually features Chris Yu's favorite single issue, The Wedding of Donna and Terry Long, which is a fantastic issue. It also includes the Who is Wonder Girl from George Perez's return to the Baxter Titans around issue 50 of that run. I mentioned during the I don't know if I mentioned this on the air. Actually, we haven't had a show since then. I went to a warehouse sale over the weekend and backfilled some of the pre-crisis Batman, and I also grabbed an issue of Wonder Woman, which was that last part of Who is Troya, which I thought I had and I didn't. And in it, we find out how Wally West's memories of Donna Troy basically define Donna Troy for that era. And it's bananas. It is nutty. It was kind of unnecessary, but it's not the worst thing in the world. It's just comic book silly, and it's John Byrne, so it's an easy target. It's like, oh, it's John Byrne doing John Byrne things. It has its place. DC decided its place is not in this book,
Right.
but I became a little bit more interested. I have all these issues, but again, convenience, because I have to dig, and this goes through a few different volumes, so I'd have to dig through several boxes, and it's basically like playing the world's hardest game of hopscotch to get across that room. It's like, oh, there's the marbles are on all the boxes here, so what am I gonna do? So I bought this here. Figure I'll give it a read. And oddly enough, this is where the New Titans trades end. They stopped printing them at, I think it was issue like 44 of the Baxter run, and this picks up right after that. So that's pretty cool. Then I'm in the clearance bin at the record store, and I picked up oddly the first ever Wonder Woman trade that I've ever bought. And it's a hardcover.
Milestone. Here we go.
Yeah. And I bought this because Wonder Woman for this run is Donna Troy. And it's just for the first arc of this volume. It's the 1 year later stuff, post Infinite Crisis. Mm-hmm. And it is, and I mean, it picks it up here. It's Who is Wonder Woman? We have Who is Donna Troy, Who is Troya, Who is Wonder Girl, and now we have Who is Wonder Woman.
Okay.
So a little serendipity there. And I can say that that's for that Titans project that I'm never, ever going to do. But it's nice to have it. I don't know if I'll ever read it. So I'm not a Wonder Woman fan, because very few people are. But it has Donna as Wonder Woman, and I figure I owe it to myself as a Titans, fake-ass Titans completionist to have that on my shelf. Mm-hmm. And I think that was like $5. So
Right on. Yeah, can't go wrong,
Yeah.
man. It's cheap. It's great.
yeah.
Even though before I forget it, you had mentioned, and this is right at the beginning when you were discussing
The Johns?
Teen Titans, yes, the Jeff Johns joint is like the maturation of these characters to become like their own. They're not sidekicks anymore necessarily. They're
Yeah,
their own heroes, and you later down the road, it's probably a worthy topic of discussion. Um, Now, there's fondness for certain short-lived replacements, whether it's Dick as Batman, or you just mentioned
hmm
like a Donna Troy as Wonder Woman. So when we do finally, when we sticking a pin in it, that's what we're doing right now, right? Um, which is our MO. But we're gonna have to like put a line down like between something that feels natural, organic,
hmm
ages almost the same way that we do compared to Legacy, right? Where
sure.
um, you know there's a lot of there's a good contingent of fandom who would never want to see a character just completely outright, especially like a Keystone character, replaced by its younger, ward, or in Batman's
Successor,
case,
yeah.
successor, right? I had mentioned in the
hmm
past, I really had no issue with John Kent being Superman.
hmm
That role that was defined in that Tom Taylor run was like he's
Sure.
Superman of Earth, Superman's for the universe, regular Kal-El Clark Kent. So I was like, that's a nice way to fit it in because you're not necessarily pushing anybody out the door and saying, this is
hmm
all we have now. You either like John Kent or you hate Superman. That
Yep.
wasn't necessarily the case. So, that's for me personally, should we, discuss this later, is going to be some of the little criteria I would place on,
hmm
what characters best suit this, or have
Sure.
shown examples of being successful in that role.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Nah, I think the maturation. Comics have been around for 100 years. Um, Soap operas have been around for almost as long. And there's a thing in soap operas called SORAS, soap opera rapid aging syndrome, where it was a baby one day and it's a 5-year-old the next. And then before you know it, it's in high school, and then it's a grown up with kids of its own. I don't mind that. I we're reading things where we believe people can fly, but we draw this like weird line where it's like, well, if Superboy grows up, then everybody, all the adults need to age the same amount. Why? They don't. Superboy can be, or Robin could become Nightwing, and Batman can stay the same age. We don't need to think about it too hard. It's when the people came in who wanted everything to make sense, and we lose the magic of like these are just characters. I don't have a problem with Bart Allen being an adult, or Gar Logan, Beast Boy. He's an adult here. That doesn't mean that Batman's 60 now. It doesn't mean that Superman's 60 now. It's just he's a grown up now. That's fine. I think where we get it twisted is that, okay, well, if we, like you said, if we move John Kent up, we got to move Clark Kent out, and we don't. We really don't. So I don't have any problem with the maturation of younger heroes to becoming adults, but we don't need to make the adults octogenarians. We have the old crew. That's the Justice Society. When Robin became Nightwing, Jay Garrick didn't become 150. He's still 100. I don't know. I think the rules can be fluid. That's not necessarily talking about taking over mantles, but it's I think we can age people up. Peter Parker became an adult. That didn't make Iron Man 60. We can get away with that. It's just when we stop to think about it and we obsess about it and we try to make it work that we become slaves to it, and it's like, well, okay, well, we can't make Tony Stark old, so Spider-Man has to be a teenager forever. No, he doesn't. So like this run of Titans here, you can tell they aged from Young Justice.
Mm-hmm.
They were kids at Young Justice. They're adolescents in Teen Titans. Just like when we went from New Titans to the Adjectiveless Titans. It's like, okay, these were teens, they're adolescents, now they're young adults, now they're training teens of their own. I like that we had. That's a different kind of legacy, of course.
Right.
It's not passing a mantle, but it is passing a mantle of sorts.
Well, Chris, let me tell you something. I never really think of it in relation to another character, right? So, your example of Spider-Man's 30, so Tony Stark must be 60. Honestly, this is my own personal experience. I was 30, hot as hell, 47, sexy. You know what I mean? So anybody who knows me is like, you haven't aged a day. Psst. You know what I mean? So hey, but there are many times I will freely and honestly admit I'm a hypocrite, right? I might complain, or if I was using outsiders jargon, bitch about this and bitch about that, and then turn around.
You're being a bitch right now.
Yes, exactly. And I'll turn around and just be like, well, but this is what I want, but that contradicts what I just said I didn't like about that. That's fandom, man. That's part of the whole kit and caboodle. We're not set in stone in any of this stuff. And with the aging and stuff, the realism that you were saying, like, hey, man, we're talking about stories with alien worlds, alternate dimensions, laser beams coming out of people's buttholes, for Christ's sakes.
Multiverses within multiverses within multiverses.
Don't take it too seriously yet. And this is probably why I let off with, I can be a hypocrite. I still, in the same vein, don't necessarily want to read Carrie Bates' yarn from 1983, Action Comics. I might want something that's a little bit more serious, or feels like the stakes are more meaty. You know what I mean? So
absolutely,
I get it. I don't get it. I understand it. I relate to it. I hate it. I love it. All over the place. Something I found pretty cool was when you talked about Bart. Hearing he's not ready. He's not the one. He's immature, and he took that time to read all those books. That was really cool because, sticking with John Kent, for example, how pissed off were people at Bendis for aging him up?
I think because there were so many more stories that could have been told with him as a kid.
Okay, that's all fine and
because
dandy.
You're taking years away from this character, and it's Bendis, and he's cheap. He wanted to get to his Legion story, and this was what he needed to do.
The easiest way to get there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, and look at the legacy of his Legion story. Where
what
the cricket's
Legion
at.
Story? Yeah,
exactly. But it's like I know I loved those Gleason and who wrote, was that
Tomasi.
Golly, who wrote that Superman run?
Peter Tomasi.
Tomasi and Gleason. Those were great. Those were great stories
that was
with young John Kent, and like
awesome.
he was chummy
Volume
with
4.
his neighbor, that girl neighbor. I mean, that was fun. That was so fun. I wasn't too keen on the Super Son stuff. I thought that was a little too cute, but I get it.
Right.
But I like the dynamic. I like Superman having a young son. I like Lois having a young son. I like that. And then Bendis took that from us. And I don't think they're going to do the Ilyana Rasputin thing and make him a kid again. No. I feel like we were robbed of potential stories, just as an attempt for Bendis to do what Bendis does.
Yeah, no, I can understand that point of view. I don't mind, and I've appreciated that Taylor run. Well, at least the beginning of it. I can't speak again. Tremendously, and of course he's a young adult in that, so I did get a benefit to Bendis's blunder, if you will. And there is room essentially for revisiting his youth. You could, what was that book you were talking about last time out? Chris, Jason Todd, Batman and Jason
Yeah, yeah,
Todd,
yeah,
Jeff
yeah.
Lemire. So I
Hmm.
mean, that avenue is always open. That door is always unlocked. I feel like I've said avenue too many times this episode.
Boulevard.
Speaking of waif, yeah. But I mean, so that's available if someone wants to do it and people want to read it.
Hmm.
Um, I just I think I brought up this point initially just because that seemed like such a creative way for a character to mature, albeit mentally, if not necessarily
Hmm.
physically. And what would stop John Kent from doing, or anybody who has the ability to have super speed, from doing the
Sure.
same thing? And compared to,
And
I need to use John Kent in Legion, so
yeah,
this is what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? Like,
no, and I
and
mean,
piss everybody off.
and to try to tie it into Titans here,
Mm,
when Rebirth happened, in Rebirth, Damian Wayne is given his birthday cake. He turns 13,
mm-hmm.
so he starts a team of Teen Titans because he's 13. John Kent can't join because he's not 13 yet, and that becomes a story. Like John is barred from the Teen Titans because he's not a teen,
Yeah,
and then he leapfrogs to whatever age he is now.
right.
I mean, that could have been fun having a Superboy in the Teen Titans again.
Yeah, right on.
Now we've got like 15 Superboys, so I mean, who knows?
Yeah. Well, hey, here's another thing is just in that same kind of range here.
Hmm.
All right. You age somebody up doesn't necessarily mean the surrounding cast or universe needs to be aged up as well. But what
Yeah.
about, and we don't need to get too far into the weeds on this because it could
Hmm.
bear a lot of fruit later down the
Sure.
road. Do you want Peter Parker to be a dad? Do you want these characters, you don't mind them aging, do you want them to start spawning and
Why not?
having those kind of responsibilities, you know
Why not?
because
I mean, because
yes,
are we worried about Aunt May's heart still?
no, and look, like you just said, we got robbed of
Hmm.
John Kent stories.
Hmm.
We've had
Because he was around for how many years was John Kent around?
that's what I'm saying. I'm kind of making your
Yeah.
point here where it's like,
Yeah.
Peter Parker stories as a young person going through the same struggles.
Hmm.
It's been done, it's very Titans esque. It's an easy thing
That,
to fall
yeah.
back on.
And there were,
Um,
and I mean, there were even series, critically acclaimed series,
mm.
like Untold Tales of Spider-Man, where Chili Dog wrote all about Spider-Man as a kid.
Wait, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the writer you just said. Who was that?
Chili Dog.
Maybe it's.
Everybody loves a chili dog.
Oh, God, it's so good.
Sorry, I didn't have the graphic ready, but I was looking for the button. I haven't played it in so long, so I had to
It's
try to
been a
be
minute.
sly. I'm like, who, what? And I'm like scrolling down here, like, can you keep talking? I need to find the damn button. But yeah,
It's like the defiled Sam Ham.
well, um, his spam has been spent. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know.
Hmm.
I'm cool with it. That's something we're saying save this for later, but we have touched on in the past where I'm like,
Sure.
hey man, make Superman 60. Okay, all right. If I was
That's like
20,
that's a genie. That's a genie, though.
you,
I mean, you let that out of the bottle, it's done.
yeah, but listen, it's just like we were just talking about where there's room for everything. You can always. I mean, DC with their freaking crises, you can always revert back or
Hmm.
do another title, or some writer just with a whim just comes in. Hey, today he's 30 years old again. You know what I mean? We
Hmm.
put him in a pocket dimension. He was tortured and de-aged so he could join Bendis's JSA. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, you know, I don't think there's any genie that can't necessarily be put back. The
Well,
problem is,
I mean, we'll agree to disagree on that one.
how long can you let the genie out before the powers that be say these wishes aren't worth the rub? You know what I mean? Like, let's bury this somewhere in a desert far, far away, never to be found again. This is like the Jumanji board. You don't want this out, you know? But I guess, yeah, that's where we differ, because I'd be cool with that. I think, you know, there's plenty of territory that could be explored either which way.
No, I mean, we have a problem with these Superboy stories in action right now because there's no threat. So it's like if we do age Superman, do 60, 70, 80 years old and kill off his cast because they all aged out. It's like, well, we can tell stories when he was younger. It's like, where's the threat?
Well,
There ain't no threat.
yeah, but...
And again, this is considering things being linear,
Yeah, exactly.
which is probably a folly of mine.
Very.
Yeah.
Very, very much so, because really anything can be written off and said it was something or other, or, you know. I think in a lot of ways for you, and this is just my initial feeling on the matter as we talk about it today, is much like your cataloging of your books with your spreadsheet, you know what I mean? Like, if you have a story where Superman 60, that's got to be, put that in Black Label. Put that in
Yeah.
Elseworlds.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Put
Yeah.
that, don't
Yeah,
put it in the main.
If you want to
in the main
explore
book.
that, you can explore it. Just it's not what's canon anymore, of course. But
Right.
it's not in Superman. It's not in anything with a legacy number on it.
Yeah. That's your end all be all. Don't do that. Well,
Yeah.
I'm more open to it. You know what I mean? Just because I don't think anything is set in stone forever, and you know, it is what it is. I'm
You,
also
you don't age Robin Hood out.
you could. Yeah.
But why?
But you know
You don't
what's
age Sherlock Holmes out. You don't age Conan out.
But well, Conan, they did have King Conan. They aged him up and everything, but that was like a separate thing. So, still to your
Yeah.
point. But as far as Robin Hood, I think you could make him 150 years old, because essentially the most important thing is that Bryan Adams is timeless.
Anything he does is he'll do for you. Yeah.
Exactly. And to me, I immediately, when you say Robin Hood, it's like simpatico with the film, the Bryan Adams hit single there. So, to which I'm not going to sing because I belted out a little Whitney Houston earlier. R.I.P. Whitney. But yeah.
I didn't even know she was sick.
Yeah. Sick on cocaine. Apparently that's the thing. You can get a serious cocaine sickness. Something to do with, the crack affected her.
Allergies. Huh?
Yes, her allergies. It's not seasonal allergies. No. This is yellow crack rock allergy to the ultimate result of death. So, listen.
The absolute result.
Yes, the ultimate, absolute, serendipitous result. We even forgot earlier talking
Superlative
about
result.
superlative. Oh, there we go. All-star, the all-star result.
Yeah, we drove all-star.
We forgot about that completely. And I believe she died of drugs. I don't remember 100%.
I want to say so. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think so.
if I've spoken out of school here, feel free to pull me
I'm
back in.
not a fake ass Whitney Houston historian.
I'm not even close. I just shake a tail feather whenever I hear those smooth pipes.
Well, she will always love you.
Speaking of Kevin Costner, there's a nice little connection. He was Robin Hood.
All
He
comes
was
together.
the bodyguard. Yeah, so banging, baby. You know, I feel bad.
He danced with wolves.
He did. Tatanka.
Buffalo.
Buffalo, yeah. I always say, and I think last episode I was very good with this, that I introduced the other members, the team
Oh.
of the Bada Bin Show, like, boom, right out of the gate. You know what I mean? I'm like, guys, I will not let you down. Yet, here I find myself, and we are currently over the 2-hour mark. And we brought up Chris Yu,
Oh boy.
who is the...
We did.
It's worth it because he's human. He is a living, breathing person who deserves a lot of credit. But there are a couple other members here at Bada Bin Central that deserve a little love too. So,
I'll move my head out of the way.
oh yeah, well, I was actually going to get to someone else first, but now we see you have priorities here, and you love one child more than the other. So, without any more delay, since we already waited a couple hours, let us say thank you to the Bada Bird.
Bird up.
Oh wow, look at them!
It's 3D.
Look, it was. It felt like the shark in Jaws 3, which was like the worst effect of all time because he moves at like -5 miles per hour until he breaks the glass of the aquarium.
I didn't even know there was a Jaws 2.
Oh boy, you are a silly, silly man. Don't even get me
true.
started on Jaws sequels because I love them and hate them. But yeah, that's all about me. Bada Bird, thank you for being here today. Watching over Chris, making sure he stays safe. I know it must be very hard to keep
Somebody's got
those
to.
peepers out of them Macho Man-esque sunglasses he has there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, those things are too legit to quit. The other member of this program
Hey.
is he's actually working on a project. I don't know if it's going to be next week or the week after, but he's been keeping his digital nose to the grindstone, working on this for us diligently. So hopefully it bears fruit down the road. But Bada Bot, are you there? Good AI powered, because it's a buzzword, sir. Okay, he's busy. He said, "Leave him alone."
But we know what he's hard at work at, so we got to let him do his thing.
Yes, he is, dude, and it's a tough task. It really is. So
I wouldn't want to do it.
Fingers
I
crossed.
couldn't do it.
Me neither.
Yeah.
That's why he's in our
Relying.
employ. You know, we need him. We can't do it without him. So Bada Bada, I love. And Chris loves Bada Bird more. I love you, Bada.
Well, we
Bada.
live together. We live
This
together.
is true. Yeah, this is true. So it's a. Oh, whoa! Say that kind of language for the
I didn't mean it.
outsiders. Jeez. Unbelievable.
Did he call me a bitch?
Ooh, I want to dance with somebody. I want to feel the heat with somebody. Speaking of heat, something that's hotter than hot. What do you say we get to our weekly correspondence?
Sure.
I can't speak again. Courtesy.
Correspondent.
That's
courtesy.
the word I'm looking for. This reverb in my ears really messes up my ability to do the whole English thing. But Chris,
English is overrated.
you know,
Okay, let me-
is it though?
Let me pop us out.
Communication.
No, not really.
Yeah, good stuff.
Not really.
Well, we could
Let's see
all
here. Okay.
let's pick a new language we can all share together, like a Badabinian. Sound good?
Let's see. I like it. Let me move us over here. And did we even say today's episode 42?
No. Is it 42 today?
It's 42.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. We're just moving right along.
That's
Which is,
allegedly the answer to everything, I think.
What,
You
42?
know what they say? Was that the Hitchhiker's Guide thing?
I don't know. I
That's
was
the answer to
actually
everything?
I was singing a song from the Muppet movie, which
Oh.
I knew you wouldn't get, so I kind of nipped that in the bud real quick.
The only Muppets I know are babies.
Okay. All right. Well,
Let's see here.
all right.
All right, here we go.
Okay. Let us have it. Chris, what do you get?
He says, "Hello, the Bottom End Show. I deeply appreciated the Jaws shirt Dave was wearing in celebration of the 50th anniversary of the premiere of Jaws on June 20th, 1977. I was wearing my Jaws socks when I watched it Friday night. Now, if we can only get Chris to watch it this year, my enjoyment of the 50th anniversary will be complete. I've never seen it. I'm sure you're shocked.
That's crazy. Well, I mean, knowing you, no, it's not
Yeah.
as shocking. And actually, a little edit correction here. That shirt was actually, and I was just talking about it, Jaws 3D. It was like the image from the trading card pack
Oh,
that was on the
okay.
T-shirt. So if you look at it real close, you'll see, hey, look at that. That's Blast from the Past right there. But Jaws, you
Mm-hmm.
know, I said I didn't want to talk about it too much because I might just keep going and going.
Mm-hmm.
No one's going to argue that Jaws 2 is not as good as Jaws 1 yet. I can always see there's a lot of things to love in Jaws 2. So
Mm-hmm.
as far as sequels go, it's pretty up there, pretty high on the list for me. All right, I'm done.
How
You can,
about that?
yeah, all right. Wake yourself up, get back into it. Let's rock and
I'm
roll.
sorry. I was watching Rugged Ronnie Garvin fight Dino Bravo.
Oh boy.
Um,
Oh no.
while Brutus and Valentine watched on.
Oh boy. Oh,
Wow.
yuck.
Okay.
Okay,
Now let's bada babble.
please.
I was one of the ones watching live when you experienced technical difficulties this week. It was a smart decision to stop the live streaming and just continue recording. While I enjoy watching live and interacting with the show via the chat, having you two not worry about the broadcast throughout an episode makes a better show. I agree. The editing out of the problem parts of the live stream was virtually seamless. If I hadn't been watching live, I wouldn't have known anything was missing from the original broadcast. I hope that your streaming gremlins go away, though I thoroughly enjoyed watching the recorded show at a later time. Yeah, hopefully we cut out, like, I think I said a few F words in between that, so hopefully we got those out.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I got those cut thanks to Bada Bot.
Okay.
He
Thanks,
took care of
Bada Bot.
those. And yeah, the whole technical thing. Chris is right because stress sucks. You know what I mean?
It does.
We're just here trying to shoot the breeze, do some chin wagging about comics. So it really throws me off when I'm like, oh no, what's happening? What's
Oh
this?
yeah,
What's
our
going
eyes
on?
are darting back and forth.
Dude, like
Yeah.
it's the most frustrating thing on the face of the earth. And
It's like, was that a freeze or no? Oh,
Yeah.
Oh.
could I hear
Yeah.
you? Could you hear me? And it's just it's too much, man. So I think
It
for
is.
a little while here, we might just take the load off our backs and kind of just do our thing without any
Yeah.
stress. That's what I'm trying to say. Stress. So yeah, sorry.
And I think as you said that, we froze for a second.
Get out of here.
Where were we? No joke. Let's see here.
Boy.
I read Action Comics 1087, fully expecting not to like it, but I enjoyed it. This is Chris Yu again.
Yes.
As someone who isn't reading Superman regularly and was experiencing this story in a vacuum, I think it worked. I've always thought that the Clark Kent as Superboy works best if those adventures take place in an alternate universe from where the adventures of the adult Superman take place. This shouldn't be a series of flashback type stories of Clark as Superboy. It should be completely out of continuity with everything else happening in every other present day Superman story. That way there's more danger and uncertainty as to if Superboy will ever grow up to become Superman. And yeah, I mean, I am on record, I am not a fan of Clark as Superboy.
Right.
I don't think there's no intrigue, there's no drama, there's no story that really needs to be told. I mean, if they treat it like the Robinson Starman, where like once a year there was like a conversation with Jack Knight's older brother David. It's like, oh, it's time for that. Like if Superman wants to sit down and be like, oh, I remember when I was a kid and this is what happened. I mean, if only he had a young child he could tell those stories to. But I don't like Superboy as Clark at all.
Well,
I like the Burn stuff.
if you remember, I think it was a Summer of Superman special where they were like, he was mind wiped from remembering anything that happened to him with his time with Legion in the future.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was like, I never care for that gimmick. You know what I mean? Oh, his weakness is magic, so he cast a spell on him, so he'd forget about this, and it makes everything more impactful because he's not aware of the things that are about to happen. But I don't know, man. I'm glad Chris Hughes digging it.
Yeah.
you saw some value in it as well, and that's all fine and good. I just, yeah, I'll wait.
Yeah, I mean it's okay. It's just not necessary.
Yeah.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we need a Superboy, we've got no shortage of Superboys in the DC universe right now. We can play with. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Let's see. Seeing Clark wearing those sneakers with the suit reminded me of the 8-year-old John Kent and his choice of footwear when he wore his super suit. In fact, this whole story is something I would have liked to have seen happen with John Kent when he grew to be a teenager before he got bendist and aged up off screen. As I said earlier, we lost a lot of potentially great John Kent stories thanks to DC's Bendis blunder.
Did I
Here,
just say
here.
the same thing about Bendis and a blunder? We use the same alliteration.
You
You,
might have.
you know what?
You might have said boner.
No. I didn't say that because I
Oh,
take that
okay.
word very serious.
Oh, it
Okay.
is very serious
If
word.
I say that,
He is
I mean it.
he is
Like,
Mike's friend on Growing Pains.
yes, exactly. Uh, yeah, I'm not throwing the B word around like Judd Winnick. All right. Yeah. Who, by the way, I made a mistake because I meant to
Mm-hmm.
say every time we bring up Judd Winnick's name,
Uh huh.
I'm obligated to say Real World. He was on the
Yes,
Real World. I
he was.
watched it. Okay. So, yeah, he can't escape it. You were on the Real World and we'll never let you forget it. I don't think he would anyway. He married his
The girl
roommate.
on that,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Whatever.
I
Okay.
wonder what Winnick's up to nowadays.
I'm not sure.
He kind of like faded out after the New 52. I think he did like the first arc of Catwoman, and then just kind of went away.
Yeah, I'm not up to date with what's going on with him. So,
That's a
but
shame.
what again, I want to get this out of my face before I forget, and I'm not bringing up the Real
Hmm.
World an hour after the fact. I did scan the email, so
Hmm.
Chris Yu deserves the credit if I had said earlier Bendis
Hmm.
blunder whatever in that combination is a forgery. I stole it.
It's a plagiarism.
Plagiarism, yes, that's even better. Thank you. Not a
Verbal
forgery.
plagiarism.
Even
So we'd
though,
say it's a.
yeah, what? What are you gonna say?
I was gonna say it's a Bendis's boners to bone.
Oh, I was gonna say forgery. If anybody wants to send me a check so I can practice, yeah.
There you go. Hmm. Hmm.
Oh
Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm.
All right, carry on. I'm sorry.
Where was we?
I don't know.
I'm a little confused as to when this story takes place.
Mm.
If Clark is 15 years old here, then it must be 20 years ago from the present day, so 2005 ish, I guess. If so, then young Clark's civilian look appears to be wrong. Teen Clark looks like my teenage nephew and his friends in 2025. I don't remember teens having that shaggy hair look back in 2005. It just takes me out of the story a little bit. It did feel very contemporary, yes. But it also I think when we were talking about this last week, I think I referenced a show I've never watched before, Smallville. Because
You
didn't he
did,
have that
yeah.
shaggy hair?
Um, yeah, I think so. I didn't
So
watch
I
it,
thought they were kind of going for that. Me either.
but I know the actor was Tom Welling.
Welling? Yeah.
Welling, yeah, he I think he did have some shaggy locks on him, yeah.
I
And
thought so. Back to Chris Yu.
please,
He says, I have no intention of reading Superman, either unlimited or not, but I think I'm going to keep up with this Action Comics run. It's funny, but in the summer of Superman, I'm enjoying every title that doesn't have Superman in it. He enjoyed Crypto too. Did you read Crypto?
I did not. I didn't follow through on my
Oh, you
promise.
didn't?
No, when I was talking about
Okay.
how much I enjoyed Ryan North's work, and that was
Yeah.
actually a financial decision
Hmm.
because, yet again, to reiterate, I've been trying to cut the poll down to a more manageable number, reasonable
So
cost.
so you didn't storm into the comic store and say, "Where's the
I
dog?
did not.
Where's the dog?"
Give me that damn dog. No, I didn't, and that's going to be one I think too. If Chris Yu keeps beaming and saying, "Hey man, crypto's great. I'll check it out when it hits the trade." You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I'll be okay with that. So, just to kind of follow up though.
But
What?
Crypto #1 has the first appearance of Psycho the Super Flea.
Really? And
Yeah,
his
yeah,
entire
Psycho the Super
circus?
Flea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, just him, just him. The
Oh,
circus is
okay.
coming every issue a new flea is going to show so they can have a first appearance in every issue.
The bass player from the Red Hot Chili
Hmm.
Peppers is going to show up. Yeah. Uh,
He'll be a variant cover.
yeah. He's going to have his own fleas. You know,
Yeah.
uh, the interesting thing I find about that statement is really the two titles he's avoiding, Superman and Superman
Are the ones
Unlimited.
we're going to read.
Well, yes, yes, but Superman in particular is the one that's being teased heavy as far as we're finally going to get answers about Booster, Darkseid, the creation of the
Like being
Absolute
the straw that
Universe.
stirs the drink.
Yeah, yeah. Or,
Yeah.
Chris Yu likes Legion. There's going to be Darkseid's evil Legion in this. And, you know,
Yeah.
those kind of things, while we all understand at the end of the day, don't mean a whole hell of a lot. That's the kind of stuff that's intended to get people excited about the line, the direction, everything else. And he's just like, nah, eh, you know, crypto's my bag. You know what I mean? That's more my speed. That's what I want right there. So hey, more power to him. Not damning it.
Sure.
I just find it fairly interesting.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Let's see here. He continues to say, pedigree books have no allure to me.
Yeah.
I'm only interested in the stories contained upon those pages. Who read it or owned it before me does not matter. Now, if it was autographed, I may be more inclined to buy it, but that's a different animal entirely.
Well,
And I agree, that is a different animal entirely, for sure.
right.
I don't even think we came down one way or another. It's like pedigree books are cool, but not really an enticement.
Yeah, we wouldn't spend extra money on it. You know what I mean? It wouldn't
Yeah.
be the impetus for opening our wallets and unnecessarily throwing an extra $20, $100, whatever the case may be at something.
Yeah.
You know? Um,
Yeah, I mean, you can get that issue of Power Man out of the quarter bin, or you could pay $500 for Nicolas Cage's copy.
Mhm. Now,
I'd leave it behind either way.
let's say there was a copy where Brian Adams licked the Nestle Quick ad. Maybe I'd
Maybe.
pay an extra 75 cents, 85 cents, but
Mhm.
a full George W., a Washington? Nah,
No folding money on this one.
no.
No folding money.
Yeah.
Not even a Susan B. Let's see here. I saw the Robin and Batman and Jason Todd book existed, but haven't decided if I want to read it.
Okay.
I'm really invested in pre-crisis Jason, but don't have the same love for Jason 2.0. But if the Bada Bin Show gives it a good review, I'll give it a shot. I have not read it.
I didn't
Not read
sub
yet,
to
so
it. So,
yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, Jason 2.0 does not have. He was not long for the world. He was only around for 2 years before they killed him off. So I mean, looking back on it, it's weird to think of it that way, because it's like, oh, he must have been around for a while. But no, he his first post-crisis appearance, if we don't count the Earth 85 stuff, is what was it, 408? Batman 408, because year one was 404, 5, 6, and 7, and the next issue was Todd stealing the wheels off the Batmobile.
Mm-hmm.
So it in 408, and he died in 426. So I mean, that's a short life.
Yeah.
Not much to really chew on there.
Yeah.
He wraps up with, I will be checking Instagram to see when the next episode will be available for viewing, either live or on Memorex.
There we go.
Until next time, Chris Yu. And
Okay.
that is where he
And-
leaves it.
Chris S., let me let you know something right now.
Mhm.
And this is very live stream-esque, is that my wife is trying to call me. I currently
Hey.
have you full screen. Are you willing to
Okay.
vamp for like a minute while I say hello to my better half?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Please do that. I will be right back.
Okay. Well, don't tell Dave this, but I've been reading other new books here, and one of them is Detective Comics by one of Dave's favorite writers, or a writer he's enjoyed, Tom Taylor. And I am enjoying it quite a bit. I mentioned earlier how not every story has to have like world-ending sort of threats or universe-shredding turmoil. Detective Comics is that, and for better or for worse, Detective Comics is pretty much the only current in continuity Batman book, if we're considering what Hush has become and what Hush looks like it's going to be. In it, Taylor actually plays off of his own story, his own previous arc, the Joe Chill arc. Batman is still following, was it Asima and Elixir or whoever they were? I don't remember their names, but it's a very good story. But he's also referencing the end of the Zarsky run, which I'm sure Loeb hasn't read, so he won't be. In it, we have Batman teaming up with Harvey Dent, who was just fired off the GCPD by the new commissioner, or I guess he's not the new commissioner, but Commissioner Vandal Savage of the GCPD. And so Bullock has gone private, and Batman has hired him to look into some stuff. And in it, we get some really cool flashbacks from Bullock's early days on the beat, where he saw some stuff he shouldn't see and accepted a bribe not to say anything because his senior officer, who he was on patrol with, this was just regular business to him. For those of us who've read Year One, we know that the Gotham PD has been less than legit, a little corrupt, a lot corrupt. And this is really playing into that as well. The chickens come home to roost for Harvey, though. And the stakes are upped, not to universe-shredding levels, but to decent street-level levels. And I feel like Detective is really killing it right now. And as much as I'm looking forward to the Fraction run, I feel like Taylor's kind of been robbed. Usually, or not usually, but sometimes we have like the writer for Detective is kind of like the intercontinental champion. You know, they're like the next in line. They're the kind of the gatekeeper before moving up. And we saw that with Snyder pre and post Flashpoint. He was on Detective, got acclaim, moved on to Batman, New 52. I think Taylor deserves a shot at the main Batman title after on the strength of just one arc and this issue. I think he really gets the character and he's going to be a good steward. Really good stuff from Detective. I would definitely recommend checking that out if you haven't already. And Dave's back.
Here I am. Hello.
Hello.
I did hear you prior to taking my phone call. And one correction. Tom Taylor's not one of my favorites, but he did write a couple things.
I corrected myself.
Oh, okay.
I corrected
All right.
myself.
Yeah, I enjoyed...
Yeah, you might not have heard that. I said maybe not a favorite, but you enjoyed his work.
Yeah, well, yeah, some of it. Yeah, the first half of Son of Kal-El. I liked the Dark Knights of Steel, at least the first half of that. But I've been let down by some of his stuff as well. I actually didn't mind his Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I wouldn't consider it like phenomenal or groundbreaking or anything, but it was fairly solid. So yeah, but Tech, I mean, I didn't jump on that when I had the opportunity, and you've been fairly touting it. There was a little lull after it came out where you said, yeah, it's okay, but it seems like it's picking back up again, so it's good to hear.
Because it fell into the maybe when he went to do Friendly Neighborhood, he got a little bit of Marvel on him, and he didn't go through the delouser on his way out the door because that last arc had some of that 4 of 6 in it, where it's like, okay, we're just kind of spinning wheels here to get to the trade. The ending was okay. The beginning was real solid, but there was that part in the middle where it's like, okay, we're just spending pages here. We need that trade. The very mid 2000s Marvel. But this one, I mean, it's only one issue so far, but it's good, and I just love that it's actually playing all the balls where they lie. Taking things from the Zosky Batman, taking stuff from his own run, and moving them forward, because I'm just not used to that happening. It's usually like, oh, it's a new arc, so we don't mention anything that came before, and we certainly don't mention the sister book because God only knows what's happening in there.
Yeah.
It's not like
Well,
these people talk to each other anymore.
You know, it's like you use playing balls where they lie is kind of in line with what you loved about that Titans you were talking about, the Teen Titans earlier, where it takes a little bit of this, takes a little bit of that, and
Yep.
makes it its own and thrives.
That's
you know?
what caused me to stick in comics. You know, when you start getting the little references that wouldn't turn somebody off if they didn't get, but add that element for us who are loyal and have been here.
Yeah.
It's like a little poke to the ribs for us, like, hey, everything matters. Hey, you're being rewarded if you get this. Not that you're being deprived if you don't, because maybe you'll get the next one. I don't know. It feels very old school, which we just don't get.
I think it's also hard to be consistent with that arc after arc, and that's why it's just easier to say we might be able to get lightning in a bottle or all the pieces of the puzzle together in six issues, and then after that we don't want
Done.
Yeah.
Don't disturb it.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't want the meat falling out of the sloppy Joe. So
Yeah.
you know.
But on the topic of promotion, that's something that I brought up during the Teen Titans chat here. I wanted to get your thoughts on this.
Okay.
Remember when Chili Dog and Perez were doing Avengers?
Yes, I do.
They brought two characters from the New Warriors, Justice and Firestar, and it felt like a big deal that they were being promoted into the team. You know, a few years before that, Cannonball was promoted from X-Force to the X-Men, and it felt like a huge deal. Same with the Young Justice being promoted into the Teen Titans, an actual legacy team that has body to it. You know, it's like they have a body of work, a legacy. It wasn't just Young Justice, Peter David having some fun, doing some great stuff, but just a fun book. This is now, okay, these are serious characters. They're part of the tapestry now. We've lost that. Because in Marvel, everyone's an Avenger. In DC now, everyone's in the Justice League. What approach do you like? Do you like it when there are promotions in the teams? Or when it's just like, hey guys, open enrollment. Come on in, pick your room.
Well, prior to Chili Dog and Perez, I think one of the most important promotions to ever happen, not only in a Marvel DC book, but this is going to be Avengers book, but I mean it's applicable to the entire medium here, is when Rage was invited
Rage
into the ranks of the Avengers, and I thought to myself, this is the most brilliant, well played move on the chessboard of just character development. Can it ever be topped?
The D-Man, Gilgamesh.
Yeah, Dr. Druid. You know, the answer
Dr.
is
Druid,
ultimately absolutely all-star no. You know, really, I before you ask me, I don't really have a solid stance on it per se. But as I kind of rambled on there about Rage, I think I would prefer the promotion rather than just, hey, everybody, clubhouse doors are open. Here's a membership card. Because
like nothing feels earned anymore.
Well, even beyond that, let's just talk about personalities. Like, okay, so technically, he's a dick. He's a jerk. Guy Gardner was a Justice Leaguer.
Yep.
And he was a perfect fit for the JLI and that tone of that book. You needed that personality. You needed that to play with comedy.
Sure.
And let's say Mark Waid's JLU, I would think he wouldn't be a fit for the Justice League. And to say he's automatically a Justice Leaguer seems a little bunk to me. You know what I mean?
Well,
Um,
I mean, there are the exceptions that prove the rule, I guess.
mm,
Like pre-crisis, we had Vibe and Gypsy and Steel as
oh,
JLA guys.
Detroit era. Yeah.
Detroit, yeah,
Mm,
yeah. Which I mean, I think I prefer that to just the open enrollment
mm,
because like that's actually something that I'm digging in the Titans book right now. They did have a meeting at the Watchtower where like Donna is running the team and she's like she wants to do her own thing, but like the JLA people are like, no, you need to do it this way. You're in the Justice League now. And they're like, no, we're Titans. We want to do it this way. It's like,
mm-hmm.
are you saying that the Titans should secede from the Justice League? And it's like, probably. We don't all need to be on the same damn team.
Mm-hmm.
We can all be on the same side. But I mean, we're like entering into like homogeny here. It's like, oh, we're just gonna pick five. This is like the X-Men arcade game. You get four people to play, and it's like, okay, pick your character. Okay, now play this level.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the Justice League is now. That's what the Avengers are now. It's like, oh, I pick Vixen. Okay, now Vixen's in the JLA doing her thing, and oh, I'm Airwave, and
Yeah.
I'm Vartox. Yeah.
Who? Yeah, but I mean, with that too, there's a facilitator with Red Tornado.
Mm-hmm.
Basically handing out the assignments because being, a synthetic android being or whatever with this,
Mm-hmm.
mind, he can kind of do the pairings better and select the players for the video game based on their skills.
Sure.
Because, there are going to be characters. I used Guy Gardner as an example earlier who are going to say, I ain't going to listen to Big Blue. Screw
Mm-hmm.
that guy. We're
Yeah.
not the same. Our motivations are different. Like you had just mentioned, we're all on the same side. Doesn't
Yep.
mean that we all use the same roadmap to get to where we're going.
Exactly.
Our
Because otherwise,
methods are
what's the
different.
point? And
Yeah.
it's funny because Wade. This is funny because Wade
Mm-hmm.
himself, in Judd Winnick's introduction to Outsiders,
Mm-hmm.
he said that he was approached to do this book, and then he met with Mark Wade,
Uh-huh.
and Mark Wade made him pitch it to him. Wade is like, okay, what's your book?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's Outsiders. What are they? What is their reason to exist? What do they do different from everybody else that makes it where we need their book? Like Wade was trying to like grill him, and now Wade's the one who's making everybody the same.
Yeah. But anyway, give me a happy thought before we go. Give me something positive, something good.
Oh boy, I think I got my positivity out
Really? Okay.
during our Titans talk there.
Well, you know what?
Yeah,
I actually just looked down. This is a nice thing.
Mm-hmm.
My buddy
Oh,
Beto
let's do
for my
it.
birthday, because here's a hot take I will go to the highest mountaintop and always fight for, is he gave me a Jim Gordon Batman fig, which is
Oh, very
nice for the
cool.
B-Day. Yeah, because for those who don't know or haven't heard me on this show before, I dig Jim Gordon as Batman. Speaking of
Mm-hmm.
legacies, speaking of
Mm-hmm.
replacements,
Mm-hmm.
what have you, I thought it was brilliant and pretty dope.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, we knew it wasn't permanent. We knew it wasn't permanent.
no,
And
but
it was a natural evolution.
right. But let's say
Yeah.
tomorrow, DC said we're going to come out with a mini series, The Untold Tales of Jim Gordon from that super heavy era as Batman. I would
Mhm.
sub. I would. I'd be in on that. So
Would Snyder have to be the writer?
no,
It could be anybody.
could be anybody. I'd definitely check
Okay.
it out. I'd be interested to see the untold tales or yeah,
Even
Year
thinking,
one.
even risking the fact that it might ruin.
it
what you
wouldn't
read?
though. It wouldn't.
You don't
for
think
me.
so?
No, we don't operate the same way like that.
No,
like,
we don't.
I can
We don't.
separate one thing from another. I think
Hmm.
was that something we lit off the Bada Bin era with right out of the gate? Was that whole
Possibly.
conversation? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because I mean that's kind of my gimmick. The sins of the son are paid upon the father
Yeah.
instead of the other way around.
Right.
Yeah, so If I don't like Hulk now, I can't enjoy the Peter David stuff because
Yeah.
I know how bad it's gonna get.
If they came out with a mini or whatever and it sucked, I'd be like, well, I still got the Scott Snyder stuff, and that was awesome. You know what I mean? So
It's
yeah,
like the Jason Todd Lives
Oh.
miniseries.
that was a downer. Oh my god. You know,
Oh man, it was DeMatteis too.
I know. And Leonardi,
Yeah.
what could go wrong? Everything apparently.
Everything.
Yeah, I know. It was like what? But listen, man. I just said let's end the show on a positive note, and I'm showing off an action figure, and you're like, "Hey, remember that series that sucked balls? Hey, remember that, Dave? Yeah, that'll turn that frown upside down. Sure, it will. No, no. You know what makes
And
me
back
happy?
again.
Yes. You know what makes me happy?
Ah,
The
What's that?
people who watch the Bada Bin show, the people who join us,
true that.
listen to us rant and rave and froth and question if I have rabies or not. Those are my people. That is my tribe. So thank
That's
you
your tribe.
to all of you for taking the time to watch this program today. I will do better. I will be better. I'm better right now.
I probably won't.
Oh,
I
okay.
probably won't. This is as
Okay.
good as I get.
Okay.
It's all downhill from
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Well,
Sadly.
hey. Can we get that in a contract, in writing? You know, make that official.
I can't even sign my name.
Oh boy. All right. Well, I do want to give virtual hugs to everybody who's taken
Oh,
the time
100%.
to watch us today. If you want to join in, shoot the breeze, leave comments on the video, like it, email badabinshow@gmail.com, and it's all good stuff. Chris, what would you like to say to the fine internet shrouds before we exit the stage today? Anything?
You posed a point earlier, and I wanted to extend that
Okay.
to everybody here. When we were talking about the Teen Titans, how I liked it the first time, 20 years later, like it still. I want to hear from people if they have any stories that they've revisited long after their initial read and found either way. Found that they're just as strong, if not stronger. Or you think to yourself, what the hell was I thinking? Because I think we all have those stories.
Yeah.
You know, I'd love to hear them. I'd love to discuss them. I'd love to think up some of my own to share. I think that could be a fun conversation. Just time. Time's a crazy thing. You stick a lot of years between your reads and you might discover some stuff. I think that could be a fun discussion. So
Yeah.
anybody out there who's still watching at this point, who has stories of that, let us know.
I
We'd
definitely
love to
think
discuss it.
there's going to be more walks of shame than.
Oh, dude.
Like, oh my
And I mean,
God.
and I mean, we could even like break it down, even like walks of shame, but with the nostalgia asterisks, you know, where it's like, well, I know this is bad, but I like it because I like it.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Or,
good.
oh God, how did I ever like this?
Yeah. Immediate thought, like, oh man, I was collecting every Garth Ennis series after 2005. Like,
All that Avatar stuff.
dude, I'm so embarrassed. Oh my lord. Yeah, so.
I bought Trouble.
Oh no! Oh Jesus Christ! That'd be the worst. You know what? Listen, if anybody out there has that as their raw and real confession, we will do something special for you because you know what? Your
Yeah.
life has meaning. It has value. And as much as you think you're not
Confetti.
worth it,
Yeah.
we're going to make it up to you for you suffering such an indignity that you bought Trouble every month for however months it came out. Oh,
Hey,
Lord.
wait a minute.
Yeah. What's... Oh, Jesus. Oh, no. Well, you know what I can do for you to make you feel better, if you'd like?
That one deep.
Oh,
That
well,
one cut deep.
I maybe to soothe your soul,
What's
I
it?
have a song on here titled Valentino. You think I should play that? Maybe it'd make you feel a little better?
No.
No, 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 no,
No,
no. Okay.
No.
You're very bad.
No,
very
sir.
bad.
No, sir.
All right, let's get out of here. It's been a fun day.
Alrighty.
And we'll see
It
everybody
has
on the
been.
flippity flap. Sound good? All right.
See ya.
Adios.